Chapter 421. I want to challenge 10 Beasts Cage. That Xianxia had probably learned some kind of incredible body tempering cultivation technique, allowing his physical strength to reach 10,000 ding, thus granting him the ability to challenge those beyond his cultivation realm. However, the steel-armed golden ape wasn't an easy opponent. Its greatest advantage lay in that it was an all-rounder. It had no flaws regardless of which angle one was looking from. Even though that young man wasn't weak, he didn't stand a chance at all. As the battle continued on, flaws would only start appearing in the young man's movements, thus providing the steel-armed ape an opening to strike at. In Hall Master Xie Ju Chen's view, if Xianxia didn't have anything else, his loss would be inevitable. It's truly a pity. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing also came to the same verdict, and he sighed as well. Just as he was about to speak, the edges of his mouth suddenly twitched. Hall Master. He didn't need to speak any further. Hall Master Xie Juchen had also seen the sight, and his face turned pale, and his eyeballs were about to pop out from their sockets. Unknowingly, the atmosphere between the man and the beast who were still fighting intensely below a moment ago suddenly turned amiable, as though they'd been buddies for several decades. The ferocious steel-armed golden ape, which was trying to tear Xianxia into shreds a moment ago, was currently patting Xianxia's shoulder with a brotherly look that seemed to be saying, "I'll cover you." Not only were the duo shocked, the other spectators were also completely bewildered by this sudden situation. What was going on? Just a moment ago, they were still trying to rip each other apart. Yet, in the blink of an eye, such a matter happened? Even if you two knew each other before, you should at least give some signs of it. What is with that sudden change in attitude? During the battle, I saw the young man whisper some words telepathically to the steel-armed golden ape, and the latter's attitude immediately changed. What words could he have said to induce such an abrupt change? Jiang Nanping said in bafflement. Ever since he missed out on the first twist with the whirlwind wolves, he had been looking intently on the situation before, not daring to avert his eyes in fear of missing out a single detail. Thus, even though the change in the attitude of the human and the beast was swift, he still noticed some details. When the steel-armed ape had the upper hand, the lips of the young man quivered slightly, and it seemed like he had spoken some words telepathically. Then, the ferocious savage beast's attitude changed all of a sudden. I also saw it. But could one sentence really cause the attitude of the steel-armed golden ape to change so rapidly? This should be impossible, right? Even so, Wei Yudao was still puzzled by the situation. I also think that it's impossible, but have you seen someone taming whirlwind wolves into cute domesticated dogs just by beating them up? Have you seen someone who made tiger head beasts play dead with a single punch? Jiang Nanping argued. Wei Yudao's face stiffened. Honestly, if he hadn't witnessed this sight himself, he wouldn't even dare to entertain the possibility. Even so, he still felt doubtful about the situation. He wondered if the savage beasts had intentionally gone easy on him, even though he knew that it was impossible given the fairness of the beast hall. However, even if that fellow earned the goodwill of the steel-armed golden ape, it should be impossible for it to let him pass just like that. The steel-armed golden ape is the tamed beast of Elder Yu, and since it has already promised to guard the final stage and prevent all challengers from getting past it, it should probably fulfill its responsibility. Taking another glance below, Wei Yudao still wasn't able to make sense out of the situation. Even if that fellow used some trick to make the savage beasts in the cage go easy on him, it was impossible for the same trick to work on the steel-armed golden ape. After all, this was the tamed beast of Beast Hall's Elder Yu. It had already given its promise to guard the final stage to its dying breath. That fellow might have succeeded in persuading the steel-armed golden ape against fighting, but this didn't mean that it would allow him to pass. Before Wei Yudao could finish his words, the crisp voice of the young man below suddenly echoed in the air. "Brother Ape, I need you to step aside so that I can pass." The steel-armed golden ape nodded hurriedly, and without any hesitation, it immediately cleared the path. Then, it lifted its gigantic hands to bid the young man farewell. I think it just chose not to fulfill its responsibility. Jiang Nanping said. "Oh, Wei Yudao." Zhongxian bade farewell to the steel-armed golden ape. No flaws could hide itself from the library of Heaven's path. The steel-armed golden ape was born with some deficiencies, and Xianxia had given him the solution to the problem. Putting aside giving way for him to pass through, even if he were to tell it to become his tamed beast at this moment, it would surely accept the request. As long as a savage beast hadn't been completely tamed and a contract wasn't established yet, there would not be any problems in changing owners. It was just like the situation with the viridescent eagle. Even though Mo Yu had paid an exorbitant price to cultivate trust with it, it still betrayed her for Xianxia after a beating. Before long, Xianxia reached the end of the 10 beasts cage. Lifting his hand, he touched the wall at the end of the road and a brilliant radiance shone. 10 beasts cage trial. Success. He has passed just like that? How long did he take? Hall Master Xianxia couldn't help but ask. This. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing's lips quivered and he said, probably, around half a tea's time. Half a tea's time. Hall Master Xianxia's eyebrows twitched. Under normal circumstances, challenging the 10 beasts cage would take 2 hours. A tea's time is equivalent to a quarter of an hour. And in half a tea's time, an eighth of an hour, the other party subdued 10 savage beasts and passed all 4 stages. More importantly, most of the time expended was spent on walking. Counting the time that he was facing the savage beasts, it adds up to a total of only several dozen breaths. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing continued. Passing the 10 beasts cage in half a tea's time was already an astounding feat. On top of that, to think that he only spent several dozen breaths against the savage beasts. If not for witnessing this sight personally, if his subordinate dared to report such a matter to him, he would surely have the other party punished for lying so blatantly to him. Hall Master Xie, does this count as a pass? Just as his eyes were twitching non-stop from shock, a young man walked up toward him. You've passed, you've passed. Hall Master Xianxia nodded vigorously. If this wasn't a pass, what could be considered as one? Then, my spirit beast blood essence. The young man stared at him. Let's head to the balcony on top. I want to present it to you before the crowd. Hall Master Xianxia smiled. It was a glorious affair for someone to pass the 10 beasts cage under his leadership, so naturally, he wanted to advertise the matter. All right. Knowing the other party's motive, Xianxia nodded silently. Soon, the group reached the balcony. Fellow beast tamers and friends of the Beast Hall, I believe all of you have witnessed this young man's valiant challenge of the 10 beasts cage. Upon reaching the balcony, Hall Master Xianxia took a jade box from one of the elders' hands, surveyed the surroundings below, and announced with a clear voice. Incredible! I wonder what that beast tamer's name is. He shall be my idol from now on. I shall work hard with him as my goal. With him as your goal? Don't you think that you are being a little too ambitious here? You'll only end up despairing in the future. In my opinion, you should just aim for Jiang Nanping and Wei Yudao. Or else, Luo Tang, Fang Jin, and the others will do as well. That makes sense. A commotion broke out below. Upon hearing the discussions, Luo Tang, Fang Jin, Wei Yudao, and Jiang Nanping, who were vehemently vying for the top spot a moment ago, turned red in embarrassment. If there was a hole in the ground at that moment, they would surely have dived in instantly. They thought that they stood at the very top of Shenyuan Kingdom, but with this, they realized that the other party was way out of their league. Clearing the 10 beasts cage in half a tea's time, such a result was sufficient to leave them in despair. According to the rules of the Beast Hall, the reward for clearing the 10 beasts cage is a drop of spirit beast blood essence. Since Beast Tamer Zhong has succeeded in the challenge, I'll present him with the reward now. Hall Master Xianxia's voice reverberated in the surroundings. He opened the jade box, and a droplet of blood swirling within a bottle appeared in everyone's view. It seemed to exude the majesty of an unparalleled expert, exerting a strong pressure on those within its vicinity. Spirit Beast Blood Essence. Beast Tamer Zhong, congratulations. Hall Master Xianxia presented the jade box over to Xianxia with a bright smile. UN. Xianxia grabbed the jade box over. His main goal at the Beast Hall was this, and having achieved his primary objective, he was in good spirits. From today onward, I hope that everyone can view Beast Tamer Zhong as their role model and cultivate diligently. The 10 Beasts Cage trial shall always be open to all beast tamers to prove their capability. Knowing that this was an ideal occasion to promote the matter, Hall Master Xianxia stroked his beard and chuckled. No matter who it is, as long as one passes the trial, the Beast Hall will bestow a droplet of Spirit Beast Blood Essence to them. I believe I need not explain the significance of Spirit Beast Blood Essence to beast tamers. So, work hard. As long as you give it your all, the sky is the limit. Hall Master Xianxia declared grandly. Honestly speaking, his words were extremely motivational. When everyone saw the reward, they saw the possibility of them standing Xianxia's place. As soon as the voice came to a halt, an uproar broke out below. Many of the younger beast tamers had their faces red in agitation, and their hands were tightly clenched together. The Spirit Beast Blood Essence was extremely useful to both human and savage beast alike. Every single droplet was worth a fortune, and there was no beast tamer who could resist such a reward. Since someone else passed the 10 beasts cage, why can't I do the same? In a moment, a wave of excitement swept across the crowd. Hallmaster, I would like to challenge the 10 beasts cage as well. I want to give it a try too. In just a few breaths, more than a dozen beast tamers had already rushed up to the tower. Seeing the motivated faces below, Hall Master Xianxia nodded in satisfaction. Just as he was about to speak, the young man beside him kept the Spirit Beast Blood Essence in his storage ring and started staring at him intently. Hallmaster, since everyone can challenge the 10 beasts cage, it shouldn't be a problem for me to attempt it once more, right? The 2 drops that he obtained by Lin Ruotian only granted him a strength of 9,999 ding. He didn't even manage to reach Zhizuan realm. Even if this single drop were to help him to break through his bottleneck, he would still be a far way off from Zhizuan realm pinnacle. If he wanted to avenge Lu Chong, he needed to possess at least strength of that level. Thus, he needed much more Spirit Beast Blood Essence. What did you say? Hall Master Xianxia was taken aback by Xianxia's question, and for a moment, he couldn't react. I said that. I want to challenge the 10 beasts cage again. Xianxia said. You want to challenge it again? Hall Master Xianxia's lips twitched. Didn't you just pass the challenge? That's right. However, you just said no matter who it is, as long as one passes the trial, the Beast Hall will bestow a droplet of Spirit Beast Blood Essence to one. I need a lot more Spirit Beast Blood Essence, so I would like to continue challenging it. Xianxia replied seriously. Continue challenging it. Hall Master Xianxia's body swayed vigorously. You successfully completed the challenge in just half a T's time. If you were allowed to attempt it again and again, wouldn't our Beast Hall fall into bankruptcy? Given how valuable Spirit Beast Blood Essence was, even Xianxia Kingdom's Beast Hall didn't have too much of it. Indeed. Xianxia nodded seriously. He started taking out his fingers and started calculating. Don't worry, I won't get too greedy. Just allow me to challenge it another 20 times. Hall Master Xianxia's body swayed, and he nearly fell over the railing of the balcony. Chapter 422, Nightmare Beast 20? And you said that you aren't greedy? Do you know how many drops of Spirit Beast Blood Essence is there in our Beast Hall? Hall Master Xianxia's face was turning green. If only he'd known the intentions of this beast tamer Zhong in advance, he wouldn't have made his previous declaration so valiantly. He had just said that anyone who successfully clears the trial will receive a droplet of Spirit Beast Blood Essence, and this fellow immediately raised the topic. Why did it feel as though he was tricked? If he were to challenge it again and again, wouldn't the Beast Hall have to present him with Spirit Beast Blood Essence again and again? Even with the 1,000 years of heritage behind Xianxia Kingdom Beast Hall, Spirit Beast Blood Essence was still an extremely limited commodity. If that fellow was allowed to do as he pleased, the Beast Hall would surely fall into bankruptcy. When other people challenged the 10 beasts cage, even if they were able to clear, it would likely to be a close call, and they would often have to remain in bed for 3 to 5 months to recuperate. Yet, this fellow passed the challenge as though he was just strolling in the gardens. Not only was he fine, he even managed to collect a group of savage beast minions. Just look at that, the sweetly smiling steel-armed golden ape was still waving to him continuously, and it seemed as though its hands would tear off at this rate. And not too far away, the whirlwind wolves were still staring at him with looks of desire. Desire your head. It had been a while since they were captured under Hall Master Xianxia's orders, but due to their arrogant personality, most of the young beast tamers were unable to tame them. That was why he chose to put it in the 10 beasts cage as one of the stages. Yet, after a beating, not only were they not angry, they were stared at Xianxia with a look of desire. Did they really crave for a beating so much? He could already see that if Xianxia were to be allowed to continue on, at this rate, not only would the beast hall go bankrupt, all of the savage beasts within would also become his. What kind of monster was this? Since Hall Master has agreed to it, I'll go down right now. Honestly speaking, the 10 beasts cage is quite an interesting challenge. Taking the other party's silence as consent, Xianxia prepared to leap down. He urgently needed the 20 droplets of Spirit Beast's blood essence, and he had no time to waste. Since he had already decided on the matter, he planned to get it over and done with quickly. Wait a moment. Hall Master Xianxia hurriedly walked over to stop him. With an awkward smile, he said, "There's no hurry. You have just cleared the 10 beasts cage, so you must be exhausted. Why don't you rest first? We can talk about it afterward." "There's no need for that, I'm not tired. Actually, this challenge is also a form of training to me, so there's no need for Hall Master to worry about me." Xianxia nodded. "Worry? Who the heck is worried about you? I am worried that you would collapse the entire beast hall." Hall Master Xianxia hurriedly waved his hands. "I know that beast tamer Zhong possess extraordinary talents in beast taming, and challenging it consecutively isn't a problem for you. But, gathering so many powerful savage beasts isn't an easy feat. Even if you're not exhausted, you should allow the savage beasts to rest for a moment." "Rest?" Glancing downward, Xianxia asked, "Are any of you tired?" The whirlwind wolves, tiger head beasts, and steel-armed golden ape hurriedly shook their heads. "Look, they're not tired," Xianxia said. Hall Master Xianxia felt lightheaded. "Say, how can someone as capable at beast taming as you lack EQ? Isn't my intention clear enough? I don't want you to challenge the 10 beasts cage. Why can't you get the hint?" Cough cough, Beast Tamer Zhong. Perhaps you don't understand the Hall Master's words. What he means to say is that since you have already cleared the 10 beasts cage once, you shouldn't challenge it again. There's not much significance to it like that. Seeing the conversation between the two, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing couldn't help but interject. "I can earn a droplet of Spirit Beast blood essence every time I clear it. This is extremely important to me." Xianxia replied with a serious expression. "Of course there is a significance to it. If not, I would not have been so bored as to travel this far just to challenge it." "You!" Grand Elder Wei Yuqing's face turned gray in frustration. He had tried to beat around the bush, but the other party revealed his intentions straight. "How the hell can we continue talking if you are going to be just like that? All right, I know that you'll definitely clear the challenge. However, the opportunity must be given to the other beast tamers as well. Thus, let's drop the matter." Unable to hold it any longer, Hall Master Xianxia waved his hands and made up his mind. "This." Xianxia frowned. He'd learned about the 10 beasts cage from a book in the beast hall, so he traveled the distance here to challenge it. He thought that if he could do it 20 consecutive times, he would have sufficient Spirit Beast blood essence to fuel his Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan. Yet, the other party simply turned him down. "It's all right if you don't allow me to challenge it as well." After a moment of hesitation, Xianxia glanced at the duo and said, "I urgently require 19 more droplets of Spirit Beast blood essence. Regardless of whether I have to buy it or trade for it, I have to obtain it." "You still need 19 more droplets?" Hall Master Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing glanced at one another, lightheaded. Why in the world would he need so much Spirit Beast blood essence? To boil a stew? Normal savage beasts would find it difficult to even absorb a single droplet of the blood essence. Yet, you asked for 20 at a single go. Are you trying to build an army of savage beasts? It's possible for us to sell some to you. A single droplet of Spirit Beast blood essence costs 5 spirit stones. However, as you're a beast tamer, we can give you a discount and charge you 4 spirit stones." Hall Master Xianxia said. 4 spirit stones for a single droplet. Xianxia widened his eyes. Forget it, I guess I'll challenge the 10 beasts cage after all. You all should hurry up and make preparations. He was also trying to find spirit stones to raise his cultivation as well. 4 spirit stones for a single droplet. Why don't you rob a bank? Grabbing onto his chin, Xianxia started to calculate. Since spirit beast blood essence is so expensive, after challenging the 10 beasts cage 20 times, I don't really need any more. If so, I can sell them back to you. If I challenge it 100 times in a day, I can earn 400 spirit stones. Continue that for a month and I'll have more than 10,000 spirit stones. The 2 leaders of the Beast Hall felt frenzied. Brother, must you be so determined to wreck our Xianyuan Kingdom Beast Hall? What kind of grudge do you have against us? All right, enough. We can give 20 droplets of spirit beast blood essence to you, but we have a condition. Feeling so stifled that his chest was about to burst apart, an idea suddenly appeared in Hall Master Xianyuan's mind. He gestured grandly and harumphed. If he were to allow the other party to do as he pleased, not only would the Beast Hall fall apart, he would also become a laughingstock of the other conferred Kingdom Beast Halls in the surroundings. A condition. That's right. Our Beast Hall has just captured a savage beast, but it's proving difficult to tame. If you can find a way to tame it for the Beast Hall's usage, we'll be willing to give you 10 additional droplets on top of your 20. But of course, if you fail, you are not to bring up the matter of challenging the 10 beasts cage anymore. 10 additional droplets. Xianxia's eyes lit up. All right, I agree to your condition. Judging by how the other party kept pushing the matter down, it would be impossible for him to continue challenging the 10 beasts cage. Since the other party had already raised this condition, he would be a fool to not accept it. 10 droplets were equivalent to 40 spirit stones. It was a profitable business to earn this massive sum just by taming a savage beast. If you don't agree to it, I'll take it as you have forfeited to it yourself. So, don't ever mention the matter of challenging the 10 beasts cage ever again. Yet to process Xianxia's reply, Hall Master Xianyuan continued on. But halfway through, he suddenly paused, and his eyes slowly widened. What did you say? You agree to it? That's right. Why shouldn't I agree to it? Xianxia asked. But, do you know what savage beast you are going to tame? Why would you agree to it so readily? Hall Master Xianyuan was overwhelmed by so much shock that he was about to tear off his beard. Even a 3-star beast tamer, a Xizuan realm pinnacle expert, like himself was unable to tame the savage beast, yet you agreed to the matter so readily? Initially, he was only thinking of using this matter to deter the other party from bringing up the matter of challenging the 10 beasts cage ever again. After all, since even he was unable to tame it, he didn't think that the other party was capable of doing so either. Yet, before he could finish his words, the other party had already agreed to the matter. Who cares what savage beast it is? Xianxia waved nonchalantly. Honestly, to Xianxia, the type or strength of the savage beast didn't matter to him. What he was concerned about was whether he could earn sufficient spirit beast blood essence. All right. Seeing how confident the other party was, Hall Master Xianyuan hesitated for a moment before nodding his head. The truth of the situation wasn't too far from what Hall Master Feng deduced. The reason why the beast taming competition was suddenly brought forward was to bring all of the geniuses from the various kingdoms over here to brainstorm on a method to tame that savage beast. Given how talented the fellow before him was, especially after seeing how he tamed a group of whirlwind wolves in the blink of an eye, perhaps he might really have a solution to their problem. As long as he could tame that savage beast, even 30 droplets of spirit beast blood essence weren't a big deal. Let's go then. I'll bring you to meet it. Coming to a decision, Hall Master Xianyuan decided not to dawdle on. He called for an elder and gave him some instructions before leading Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing to the depths of the Beast Hall. Knowing that this was an opportunity for him to earn more spirit beast blood essence, Xianxia hurriedly followed behind him without much hesitation. Teacher! Young master! Along the way, Xianxia met Zhao Wei, Sun Qiong, and the others, who were waiting outside for him. Let's go together then. There weren't many things Xianxia needed to hide from these people. Thus, he invited them to tag along, and they soon arrived at a vast courtyard. The courtyard was surrounded with high walls that were around a dozen meters thick, similar to city walls. The interiors were slightly blurred, and with a single glance, one could tell that a formidable formation was set up within. The savage beast is just inside. I'll just say it first, it isn't too late for you to back down now. The group came to a stop right outside the courtyard. With a grim expression, Hall Master Xianxia said, "The savage beast is actually a nightmare beast. Our beast hall paid a heavy price before we were able to capture it. Due to the hint of dragon bloodline it possessed, it has an extremely arrogant nature, making it nearly impossible to tame it." Nightmare beast. A half-transcendent savage beast. Xianxia was taken aback. Having assimilated the knowledge from the books in the beast hall, Xianxia possessed knowledge of the savage beast. It was known as the #1 strongest savage beast beneath that of spirit beasts. Possessing a hint of dragon bloodline, it wielded incredible strength. Even transcendent mortal 1-dan primary stage experts would find it hard to face. To think that the beast hall would actually manage to capture such a powerful beast, it was truly incredible. Indeed. This fellow has a ferocious nature, and it'll be difficult to even approach it. I can bring you to meet it, but if you find yourself stumped, just give up. Don't take the risk. But of course, once you give up, you mustn't bring up the matter of challenging the 10 Beasts cage ever again. Hall Master Xianxia raised his conditions. He was afraid that the other party would turn his attention back to the 10 Beasts cage after realizing that he was unable to tame the nightmare beast. If so, all of his efforts would be in vain. Let's go in and take a look. Xianxia prompted. Hall Master Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing nodded. They found the entrance to the formation and led the crowd in. The courtyard was vast, and on top of the formation, a massive metal cage specially crafted by blacksmiths were laid out within. If a savage beast were to be trapped within it, it would be nearly impossible to escape. After circling around the courtyard, they finally reached the perimeter of the metal cage. Within it, they saw a 5 meters tall and 10 meters long massive savage beast lying quietly on the ground. Upon noticing the presence of outsiders, its eyes immediately turned red, and it released a deafening roar. Chapter 423, Ancient Beast Language. Its roar was so loud that it threatened to burst the eardrums of everyone present. Of the group, Yuan Dao, Sun Qiong, and the others who had weaker cultivation jolted upon hearing the roar. Their faces paled, and their bodies swayed weakly from side to side. It seemed like they were injured just by the powerful roar itself. You all should leave first. Knowing that a powerful savage beast could kill one with its roar by itself, Xianxia shook his hands. Sun Qiong, Yuan Dao, and the others hurriedly left. This is the nightmare beast. A grim expression appeared on Hall Master Xianxia's face. The nightmare beast was simply too strong, even he wasn't a match for it. If not for the sturdy cage, the unique formation, and the multiple layers of traps laid out in the courtyard, it would have already escaped. Spirit beasts possessed wisdom that was not inferior to a human in any way. Upon reaching this level, they could already cultivate on their own to raise their cultivation. Even though the nightmare beast before them had not reached the level of a spirit beast yet, it was not too far from reaching that level. On top of that, it possessed a trace of dragon bloodline, augmenting its already fearsome prowess. If not for the unique circumstances, it would have been impossible for the Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall to capture it. It's injured. Xianxia glanced at it briefly before frowning. UN. Hall Master Xianxia nodded. The unique circumstances referred to this fellow being injured, thus giving them an opportunity to strike. However, judging from its rate of recovery, it should be able to fully recover in less than a month. If they didn't tame it within this period of time, it would surely escape from their grasp by then. This was precisely the reason why they went to the extent of pushing forward the beast taming competition just to try and find a viable method to tame it. Its internal injuries came from its failed attempt at breaking through the bottleneck of a spirit beast. Hall Master Xianxia explained. Xianxia nodded. That was indeed the case. Even without the Library of Heaven's Path and Eye of Insight, just based on his knowledge of savage beasts, he could tell this much. At half-transcension, be it humans or savage beasts, they would hope to take the one last step to reach a higher order of existence. This nightmare beast forcibly pushed itself to make that breakthrough, but it failed and a rebound occurred, reducing it to its current state. Unable to move, it could only roar to instill fear in its enemies. Otherwise, if a half-transcension savage beast were to go on a rampage, even a half-transcension cultivator would be unable to withstand its might. It would have been completely impossible for Xianxia and the others to capture it and lock it here. As long as you can find a viable method to tame it, we'll do it ourselves. If it works, we'll give you 30 droplets of spirit beast blood. Xianxia explained the terms of this exchange. Given that young lad's strength, it would be impossible for him to tame a half-transcension savage beast. Thus, he only asked for a viable solution. If he deduces it to be feasible, all of the 3-star beast tamers would cooperate together to carry it out. As long as they succeed, no price was too heavy to pay. If they were to tame a savage beast of this level, the strength of the entire beast hall would be brought to whole new heights. In contrast, 30 spirit beast blood essence wasn't a heavy price at all. Find a viable method. Not expecting the other party's request to be so simple, Xianxia was taken aback. Delighted, he gestured. All right, go over and knock that fellow out then. After I observe him, I'll give you a viable solution to the matter. The nightmare beast was too strong, so the Eye of Insight was ineffective against it. On the other hand, for the Library of Heaven's Path to be triggered, the other party had to execute a battle technique or be knocked out. Given how that fellow couldn't even stand up, it was impossible for it to execute a battle technique. The roar couldn't be considered as a battle technique as well. Thus, the only way to activate the Library of Heaven's Path was to knock it out. Only then could Xianxia determine a viable taming method through its flaws. Knock that fellow out. Hall Master Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing thought that the other party might have some brilliant situation, so their ears were pricked to listen to whatever he had to say. However, after hearing those words, their eyelids twitched. That fellow possessed the dragon bloodline. Knock it out? They had to have the capability to do it first. Those of the dragon bloodline possessed outstanding recovery capability, and their defenses were far superior to other savage beasts. Even a half-transcension expert couldn't knock out a half-transcension savage beast easily. Needless to say, You can't do it. Xianxia's eyebrows shot up. Given that the other party couldn't demonstrate battle technique, and they couldn't knock it out either, this situation was a little tricky. You should think of another solution, Xianxia said. Xianxia scratched his head. There were many beast taming techniques, but given how even the experienced hallmaster was unable to come up with anything feasible, how could he have any ideas? The usual method Xianxia used was to raise the other party's strength through the Heaven's Path Xianxia, but given the huge disparity in strength, the effects of the Heaven's Path Xianxia would be minimal. He wouldn't be able to earn the other party's goodwill through inducing such insignificant growth. My opinion is still to knock it out. After a long moment, Xianxia could not find any good ideas. Thus, he could only reiterate his stand. Xianxia and Wei Yuqing. Actually, we've also thought of a feasible solution, but we aren't able to carry it out. A long while later, Hall Master Xianxia suddenly spoke. Oh. Curious, Xianxia turned his gaze over. Since the nightmare beast attempted the breakthrough, it must know the method to do so. Such methods are normally left behind by ancient spirit beasts, and if we can find a beast tamer skilled in ancient beast language, he might be able to earn its respect. If so, it would be much easier to tame it. Hall Master Xianxia said. Ancient beast language. UN. While beast tamers can converse with their own tamed beast, it is still extremely inconvenient for them to communicate with other savage beasts. Back then, Empyrean Kongsha left behind a beast language scroll, and as long as one learns it, one would be able to speak with spirit beasts freely. This fellow isn't a spirit beast, but it's already extremely close to that level. On top of that, it also possesses a hint of the dragon bloodline, so it should be capable of basic conversation in that language. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to learn of the method left behind by ancient spirit beasts either. Hall Master Xianxia's eyes gradually grew grim, and he spoke slowly. If there was someone among us who was skilled in it, we'd be able to converse with it and know what it wanted. If so, Taming it would be much easier. Xianxia nodded in agreement. There was some information on the ancient beast language through the books in Shenluo Mountain Beast Hall. However, there were very few people who were adept in it, and most of them were high-ranked beast tamers. This was precisely the reason why these beast tamers could win the trust of savage beasts easily, and make them listen to them. Does our beast hall have books on the ancient beast language? Xianxia couldn't help but ask. We do have some, but most of them are from a faraway era. On top of that, most of them are just the deductions of our predecessors, and we've no way of determining whether they are authentic or not. Xianxia shook his head bitterly. Even though the complete heritage of ancient beast language had slowly disappeared, some sounds of words still remained in circulation. However, these were useless by itself. Putting aside whether they were real or not, it was impossible to determine their meaning just by the sound itself. Countless predecessors of the Beast Hall had tried studying it, but most of the words originated from legends, and their meanings were lost. On top of that, some of these legends were fabricated, and it was impossible to discern truth from falsehood. Realizing the impossibility of the task, everyone eventually chose to give up on it. Hearing those words, Xianxia's eyes lit up. Can you take me over to take a look? Others might not be able to discern truth from false, but he was different. With the Library of Heaven's Path, as long as they were in written form, it was a walk in the park for him to determine what was true and what was false. Chapter 424, Bizarre Language 2-in-1. You want to look at those books? Hall Master Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing glanced at one another in confusion. The ancient beast language sounded incredible, but its heritage had already been lost. The possibility of learning it through books was zero. Even if the content of the book was authentic, without a tutor to guide one, it was impossible for one to verbalize the sound out accurately. What made things worse was that each word of the ancient beast language had a special Xianxia circulation method to verbalize it. Without it, it was impossible to pronounce it accurately, especially with a human sound box. Countless predecessors of the Beast Hall had devoted their lives in an attempt to decipher the language, but none had succeeded. Yet, this fellow said that he wanted to browse through those books to learn the language so leisurely. Did he really think that he could master it just by reading through those? Xianxia nodded. This. Hall Master Xianxia hesitated. Knowing the impossibility of the task, he tried to talk Xianxia out of it. Studying the ancient beast language isn't something that can be accomplished all of a sudden. Without a proper tutor, I'm afraid that you might accidentally injure yourself. I'm just taking a casual look. If, by chance, I were to succeed, perhaps I'll be able to tame this fellow. Xianxia smiled. Hearing the other party insisting on the matter, Hall Master Xianxia frowned in displeasure. Given how the other party cleared the 10 beasts cage so easily, his talents and strength were definitely top-notch. But why would a genius like him choose to do something so pointless and foolish? Do you think that the ancient beast language is something one can grasp just by reading books? If that was the case, there wouldn't be so little beast tamers who knew the ancient beast language. By chance. If it were possible to succeed by chance, they wouldn't be in such a dilemma. You must be jesting. Fine. Elder Wei, lead him there. Feel free to browse through the books of the Beast Hall. However, I won't tolerate you making a fuss over the 10 beasts cage after this. Hall Master Xianxia said, suppressing his displeasure. All right. Xianxia nodded. Even though the Beast Hall had many savage beasts, it was still nigh impossible for them to gather a sufficient number of them for Xianxia to challenge the 10 beasts cage another 19 times. The reason why Xianxia insisted on the matter previously was to force the other party to compromise. After observing the nightmare beast for a while longer, Xianxia was still unable to come up with a better idea, so he decided to follow behind Grand Elder Wei Yuqing to the library. The books on the ancient beast language are placed randomly throughout the library. Feel free to browse through them. As the duo reached the library, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing gestured to the massive collection of books inside. He shared the same thoughts as Hall Master Xianxia. To think of learning the ancient beast language just by reading books. You must be dreaming. If it was that easy to take it on, beast tamers adept in the ancient beast language wouldn't be so valued. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing left with a look of disappointment on his face. Zhong Xian noticed it, but he didn't pay it any heed. In any case, he would prefer to be left alone here anyway. The Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall's library was much larger than that of the Shenluo Mountain Range branch. Countless books were placed upon tall bookshelves that extended all the way to the limits of one's sight. Since Zhong Xian was already here, he might as well just collect all of the books within. Thus, placing his fingers on the first book on the first row, he started running. Seems like he's still too young. His outstanding accomplishment has led to his complacency. Returning to the courtyard, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing shook his head. Considering how he was able to become a 2-star beast tamer and could face a Zhizuan realm savage beast despite his young age, it is no wonder that he would become complacent. But still, to attempt to learn the ancient beast language just by browsing through books, he is underestimating the occupation. Hall Master Xie Jiuchen said with a slight frown on his face. Initially, he bore great expectations of this young man. However, after hearing the solution the other party came up with, all of his goodwill for the other party vanished. Knocking the nightmare beast out. You must be pulling my leg. To tame a savage beast, one had to learn its habits, likes, dislikes, and such. Forcibly knocking the other party out would only incur its resentment. That fellow had a proud nature. It was already difficult to tame, and if they were to really knock it out, the possibility would probably drop to 0. Indeed. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing nodded in agreement. Let's not talk about him. How are the challengers of the 10 Beasts Cage faring? Hall Master Xie Jiuchen asked. While the group was tending to the nightmare beast, the 10 Beasts Cage had been busy as well. Many of the geniuses who came to Shenyuan Kingdom were stirred by Hall Master Xie Jiuchen's speech, and they were spurred to give it a try. I took a look before coming here, and the challengers aren't doing too well. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing flashed a bitter smile. After bringing Zhong Xian to the library, he took a look, and the sight he saw brought a bitter smile to his face. Beast Tamer Zhong had pummeled the Whirlwind Wolves and easily passed the first stage previously, even winning their admiration in the process of doing so. As though emulating his success, the first few challengers also charged straight at the Whirlwind Wolves. However, they ended up as the one being pummeled instead, and 2 of them were even nearly gnawed to death. One of the more formidable geniuses managed to get past the Whirlwind Wolves and proceeded on to face the Tiger Head Beast. He imitated Zhong Xian's strategy and struck the other party's abdomen. The result? His arms almost fell off from the rebound, and the momentary opening from that nearly turned him into a lump of meat paste. In less than an hour, more than 10 geniuses had already fallen. On top of that, the majority of them didn't even clear the first stage. Even the famous Jiang Nanping, Fang Jin, and Luo Tang had given it a try. A handful of them was even stronger than Zhong Xian, but they were still defeated in the first stage. Those wolves were obedient as though pugs before Zhong Xian, so the challengers didn't think of them as a threat. Yet, when it came to them, they showed their true might as predators of the forest. If it were that easy to clear the 10 Beasts Cage, we wouldn't be no successful challenger for the past 1,000 years. Hall Master Xie Jiuchen seemed to have anticipated this result, and he shook his head in lamentation. He knew very well the difficulty of the 10 Beasts Cage. He didn't underestimate it just because Zhong Xian cleared it easily. UN. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing nodded. At this moment, he suddenly recalled a matter and said, Right, the ruckus beast tamer Zhong caused by challenging the 10 Beasts Cage is too great. I'm afraid that, even if we were to host the beast taming competition now, there wouldn't be much point to it. Oh. Hall Master Xie Jiuchen fell into deep contemplation. Beast Tamer Zhong is young, and he meets the prerequisites for the beast taming competition. After he cleared the 10 Beasts Cage, his prestige has soared. Under such circumstances, there won't be much point in winning the champion seat. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing smiled bitterly. You mean that everyone views Beast Tamer Zhong as their goal? So, even if we conduct the beast taming competition and someone wins the champion seat, as long as the champion doesn't clear the 10 Beasts challenge, he won't be recognized by the masses. Xie Jiuchen came to a realization. If the jade that came before was too radiant, it would dull the glow of those trailing behind. This Beast Tamer Zhong was clearly such a jade. He cleared the 10 Beasts cage in a single go, breaking the 1,000-year record of Xianxia Kingdom Beast Hall. Even if someone were to be hailed as the champion of the beast taming competition, as long as he doesn't clear the 10 Beasts cage, the prestige of his achievement would surely be compromised.
Indeed. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing nodded. This.
Hall Master Xianxia smiled bitterly. Actually, it wasn't that he'd neglected this matter. It was just that, from the very start, he didn't expect that fellow to clear the 10 Beasts cage, let alone clearing it so easily. Since that's the case, pass down an order saying that the content of the beast taming competition this time around will be the 10 Beasts cage. Whoever passes the challenge will be the champion. After hesitating for a moment, Hall Master Xianxia continued, also, check which branch does Beast Tamer belong to. If no one clears the 10 Beasts cage, he'll be declared as the champion.
All right. Wei Yuqing nodded.
This was the only solution left. If Xianxia knew that he could win the champion seat on top of earning the Spirit Beast Blood Essence through challenging the 10 Beasts cage, it would be hard to say what he would feel. However, at this very moment, a helpless frown was etched deeply on his forehead. After a day of hard work, he finally collected all of the books in the Beast Hall into the Library of Heaven's Path. Upon doing so, he thought that it should be easy for him to compile all of the ancient beast language books to create an accurate manual on the language. However, after taking a look, he finally understood why Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing didn't think well of him. The predecessors had indeed left behind many books on the ancient beast language, and written in these books were their personal insights on the verbalization of the language. However, after verifying the contents with the Library of Heaven's Path, Xianxia realized that the only words that were authentic numbered less than 10. How could one communicate with savage beasts with less than 10 words? To think that there would be only 10 correct words in several hundred ancient beast language books. It was no wonder that no one succeeded. With this level of accuracy in the ancient texts, it would take a miracle for one to successfully learn the language. Seems like learning the ancient beast language is impossible.
Xianxia shook his head in disappointment.
If he had mastered the ancient beast language through the Library of Heaven's Path, it would be much easier for him to tame savage beasts in the future. However, from the looks of it now, it seemed like he had underestimated the matter. The ancient beast language was a creation of Xianxia, and if one could learn it that easily, there would not be so many stumped beast tamers in the world. There seems to be another book on the ancient beast language over there. Just as Xianxia was about to leave the library to convince Xianxia to knock out the nightmare beast, his eyes suddenly caught sight of a book lying in the corner of the room. It was a thick book with the word language written in an ancient script on its cover. As it was placed in a remote corner, he didn't notice it previously. He walked over and took it out. This book was around 10 fingers thick, and a thick layer of dust cloaked its cover. Its pages had a yellowish tint, hinting at a long history behind them. It seemed to have been placed here for innumerable years, unnoticed by any. Flaws. Touching it, a similar book appeared on the shelves within the Library of Heaven's Path. This isn't ancient beast language. Flipping it open, Xianxia was taken aback. Written within the book was the introduction of a unique language, as well as the way to verbalize it. However, there was a clear distinction between it and the ancient beast language. The book didn't reveal what exactly was that language, and the details provided by the Library of Heaven's Path didn't reveal anything significant about its origin either. There is a total of 3 correct words. Xianxia flipped through the book. There were thousands of words described in the 10 fingers thick book, but after verification from the Library of Heaven's Path, there were only 3 correct ones. Compile. Xianxia gathered all of the correct portions to form an entirely new book. I should try these 3 words first. Taking a deep breath, Xianxia drove his Xianxia according to the circulation method derived from the book through the Library of Heaven's Path. Moo. A sound echoed, and the world around Xianxia seemed to tremor violently for an instant. At the same time, his body swayed, and the sight before him turned dark. What kind of language is this? How can it be so fearsome? The immense energy expenditure from verbalizing that single word had nearly knocked him out. He quickly took deep breaths to recover. Just verbalizing a single sound had nearly sapped his Xianxia dry. On top of that, his instincts told him that if not for his incredibly pure Heaven's Path Xianxia, even with the knowledge of the correct verbalization method, he wouldn't have been able to verbalize that sound. After studying the ancient beast language, he realized that even though it was difficult to verbalize the words, it wasn't too hard to speak fluently once one grasps the correct Xianxia circulation method. This logic seemed to apply to the mysterious language as well. But that single sound he just made nearly caused him to pass out. That was way too fearsome. It is said that the more formidable a language is, the more difficult it is to verbalize it. It will have a high requirement on the purity of one's Xianxia as well. Could it be that this language is extremely formidable? Zhong Xian's eyes lit up. Even though he was baffled, it did little to dampen his agitation. After reading through innumerable books, he knew that humans weren't the only race in the master-teacher continent. There were many races, and each of them had their own languages. The more formidable a race was, the more powerful their words would be. At the same time, the requirement on the purity of one's Xianxia would be much greater as well. Heaven's Path Xianxia was definitely a top-notch existence even among superior Xianxia. Despite this, Zhong Xian was still unable to sustain the expenditure from voicing out the words. What kind of language did these 3 words originate from for them to be so powerful? After studying it for half a day, he realized that he couldn't interpret the contents of the ancient book. In fact, he couldn't even read a single word. Thus, he shook his head and gave up. Given that I have only learned a few words, I can't depend on the ancient beast language anymore. Zhong Xian thought that he could return accomplished with the ancient beast language in his arsenal. But in any case, I should still try and see if I can hoodwink the nightmare beast with these words. It would be good if I succeed. Otherwise, I'll have to look for other solutions. Stretching his back lazily, Zhong Xian walked out of the library and headed toward the courtyard where the nightmare beast was housed. Even though he had only learned a few words through the library of Heaven's Path, he was certain that these were authentic words from the ancient beast language. Perhaps, he might be able to convince the other party with just these words. If, on the off chance, he succeeds, he would be able to earn 30 spirit beast blood essence immediately. Otherwise, he would have to find a way or another to knock the nightmare beast out. Beast Tamer Zhong. Soon, he arrived at the courtyard. Before walking in, he saw many figures walking anxiously about the previously remote courtyard. The huge group of beast tamers that he saw above when he was clearing the 10 beasts cage were all here. What happened? Zhong Xian walked in doubtfully, and he immediately saw 2 familiar figures amidst the crowd. Beast Tamer Zhong. The other party also saw him, and they walked up to him. Hall Master Feng and Beast Tamer Wang, why are you 2 here? Zhong Xian was perplexed. These 2 were the beast tamers from the Shenluo mountain range branch, Hall Master Feng and Beast Tamer Wang. Why are we here? Hall Master Feng and Beast Tamer Wang coughed. The beast taming competition has been brought forward, but we weren't able to contact you. Thus, we came here in advance. The beast taming competition has been brought forward. Zhong Xian blinked his eyes in surprise. If the other party hadn't raised this matter, he would have already forgotten the issue. Ever since arriving at Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall, he immediately rushed to the 10 beasts cage. Right after that, he went to the courtyard to meet the nightmare beast before busying himself at the library. As such, he had no way of knowing that the beast taming competition had been brought forward. Besides, he didn't explicitly agree to the competition then. Thus, he didn't pay much attention to the matter. You didn't know. Seeing the confused expression on the other party's face, the 2 great beast tamers swayed. I didn't. Zhong Xian confirmed their suspicions. But, you are the champion of the competition. The 2 beast tamers scratched their heads in frenzy. Are you for real? Just a moment ago, Hall Master Xie Jiuchen announced that Zhong Xian was the champion of the beast taming competition. He even specially visited them to offer his congratulations. Despite being the champion, he actually didn't even know that the competition had been brought forward. Can you be any more confusing than that? Champion? What champion? Not only were the duo baffled, Zhong Xian was also bewildered by the situation as well. I don't even know when the competition is held. How in the world did I become the champion? The content of the beast taming competition this time is the 10 beasts cage. Of all of the participants, you're the only one who succeeded. So naturally, you became the champion. Seeing that the other party really knew nothing at all, Hall Master Foam could only explain the situation speechlessly. To think that even someone as confused as him could become the champion, he was truly speechless. For every single competition, their Xianluo mountain range branch would always go around searching for talents to vie for a good placing. Yet, they had never succeeded. This time, they managed to win the championship, yet the candidate himself didn't even know what was happening. I see. Is there any prize for the champion? After hearing that he became the champion just because he challenged the 10 beasts cage, Xianxia was speechless. But soon, recalling something, his eyes lit up. Becoming the champion wasn't anything much to him. What he was more concerned about was the reward. If he could win 20 or 30 spirit beast blood essence, he could spare himself much hassle. The reward is 5 spirit stones. I have already claimed it for you, you can check on it. At which, Hall Master Foam took out a narrow jade box. Opening it, 5 spirit stones placed side by side appeared before Xianxia's eyes. Just these. Xianxia thought that he would be able to earn generous rewards by winning the championship. Yet, for the reward to be only 5 spirit stones, the Beast Hall was truly miserly. However, no matter how little the reward was, it was still useful to him. There was no reason for him to reject it. After keeping the spirit stones into his storage ring, he glanced at the surroundings and asked, "What's happening? Why are so many people gathered here?" Yesterday, when he came, a formation was set up here, and no outsiders were allowed to enter. Why did the situation become like that all of a sudden? The Beast Hall caught a half-transcension savage beast, and they wished to tame it. However, they had been unable to find a feasible method to do so. The reason why they pushed forward the beast taming competition was to gather the Hall Masters, Elders, and talented beast tamers from all around Xianxia Kingdom here to brainstorm on a viable method to tame the nightmare beast. Hall Master Foam explained. The motive of pushing the competition forward was for this savage beast. Since the competition was already over, Hall Master Xianxia decided to gather all of the beast tamers here to brainstorm over this matter. This led to the current commotion outside of the courtyard. Oh! Xianxia came to a realization. It seemed like the other party didn't think that he would succeed in learning the ancient beast language. But it was no wonder why the other party would think so. Even with the prowess of the Library of Heaven's Path, Xianxia had only found a few correct words. It would take a miracle for anyone to learn the language through those books. Has anyone succeeded yet? Xianxia asked. No one has succeeded yet. A half-transcension savage beast is too strong, the possibility of succeeding is extremely low. Shaking his head, Hall Master Foam sighed. Even a 3-star beast tamer like Hall Master Xianxia was helpless before the nightmare beast. How could normal beast tamers like them have any good ideas? Several ideas were brought up, but they were all refuted. Look, the genius Wei Yudao intends to give it a try. Wei Yudao? The genius who managed to reach the 3rd stage of the 10 beasts cage yesterday. Yes, that's him. Just as the trio was talking, a commotion broke out among the crowd. Xianxia turned around and saw a youngster walking toward the nightmare beast in the metal cage. In front of the metal cage stood Hall Master Xianxia, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing, and a few other beast tamers. A grim expression hung on their faces. They also knew that it was unlikely for anyone to succeed, and they were already prepared for a worst-case scenario. Chapter 425. Allow me. At this moment, the nightmare beast was currently lying lazily on the ground. It wasn't even angry, it just couldn't be bothered to lift his head to glance at the other party. Instead, it seemed to be using some kind of unique method to heal the injuries it had sustained. Hallmaster, I would like to give it a try. Walking forward, Wei Yudao clasped his fists. Go on. Glancing at Grand Elder Wei Yuqing, Hall Master Xianxia nodded. The grandson of his old friend had been blessed with exceptional talent for beast taming, and the other party had made a name for himself among the younger generation. If not for Xianxia's abrupt appearance, Wei Yudao might very well become the #1 genius of Xianxia Kingdom Beast Hall's younger generation. In any case, There was no better solution for the matter at the moment. If the nightmare beast were to recover substantially from its injuries, it would be impossible for the Beast Hall to confine it any further. Since that was the case, he might as well grant everyone a chance. Perhaps someone might just succeed. Thank you, Hall Master. Taking a deep breath, Wei Yudao walked up to the nightmare beast. With a flick on his wrist, a jade bottle appeared in his palm. Uncorking the cap, a dense fragrance wafted out, revitalizing everyone's spirit. It's the 7-colored honey from the Cloud Mist Mountain. It's said that the Xianxia realm savage beast Heaven Snow Bee concocted this honey from the nectar gathered from 7 different colored flowers. It has an alluring fragrance, and it's incomparably sweet. Even spirit beasts would find it difficult to rein in their craving. This thing is incomparably expensive and rare. Even with plenty of spirit stones at hand, obtaining it is no easy matter. Yet, to think that he would have an entire bottle of it. Since he is willing to take even that out, the nightmare beast should probably cave in. Catching a whiff of the fragrance from the jade bottle, a huge commotion was stirred in the surroundings. The 7-colored honey was formed by 7 different colored nectars. It possessed a fragrance that opened up one's pores with a single whiff. Savage beasts tended to be gluttonous. It would be difficult for the other party to hold back from such a delicacy. The 7-colored honey is ranked 5th among the 10 most favored objects of savage beasts. It is impressive that Wei Yudao was able to obtain such a good item. Not bad. Hall Master Feng's eyes also lit up. 10 most favored objects of savage beasts. There's such a ranking. Xianxia was taken aback. He had read nearly all of the books in the Beast Hall, but he had never heard of such a ranking. There is. Hall Master Feng chuckled. Actually, we only created this list out of boredom, and it isn't officially recognized by the Beast Hall, so it isn't recorded in any book. 7-colored honey isn't just fragrant, more importantly, it has the effect of nourishing and expanding a savage beast's meridians. Usually, if a beast tamer were to take out a single droplet of it, he would be able to induce complete submission in a Xianxia realm savage beast. The jade bottle that Wei Yudao might be small, but there are at least several dozens of droplets in it. He must be truly determined if he is taking so many droplets out at once. Nourish and expand a savage beast's meridians. Upon hearing the effects of the 7-colored honey, Xianxia was astounded. The meridians of humans and savage beasts had a certain cross-sectional area. If one were to drive one's Xianxia too quickly, it might cause one's Xianxia to seep outward, resulting in severe internal injuries. Expanding one's meridians was equivalent to increasing the quantity of Xianxia one could drive within a specific period of time. This quality made the 7-colored honey extremely valuable. Putting aside savage beasts, even the eyes of the cultivators in the area reddened in desire upon learning of the effects of the 7-colored honey. What other objects are there in this ranking? Xianxia couldn't help but ask curiously. If he were to know the most favored objects of savage beasts, it might help him in taming powerful savage beasts in the future. As it's unofficial, it's mostly speculation. The publicly acknowledged number 1 object is dragon blood, number 2 is the inner core of spirit beasts, number 3 is ancient beast blood essence, number 4 is godfall flower, and number 5 is 7-colored honey. I see. Xianxia nodded. He had heard of the first 4 objects. The dragon tribe was incomparably powerful. If a savage beast were to possess the slightest trace of the dragon bloodline, it would be significantly stronger than normal savage beasts. Taking the nightmare beast for example, even though the dragon bloodline within it was so meager that it could be disregarded, it still granted it the potential to reach half-transcension. Just this in itself made the dragon bloodline a desired object that could send all savage beasts and spirit beasts into a frenzy. As for the ancient beast blood essence, as shown in the Xianluo mountain range branch, it possessed the same effects as well. If used appropriately, it could induce a bloodline evolution in a savage beast. As for the inner core of a savage beast, it was something that spirit beasts nurture and cultivate day and night over a long period of time. It harnessed the essence of their cultivation and strength. If a savage beast could obtain it, even if it still wasn't able to make the leap to become a spirit beast, its cultivation would definitely be enhanced significantly. As for the godfall flower, rumor had it that it could nurture a savage beast's spirit. Of these 4 incredible objects, The very fact that the 7-colored honey could be placed at the 5th place proved testimony to its fearsome effects. Xianxia couldn't help but take a glance at the situation. As expected, upon catching a whiff of the fragrance, the lazy nightmare beast in the cage was stirred into action. It lifted its massive head, and a glaring radiance pierced from its eyes. It was clearly interested in the object. Grabbing the 7-colored honey in his hands, Wei Yudao confidently declared, "I know that you understand the human language, and you know our purpose here. As long as you swear to the dragon bloodline within your body to remain loyal to the Beast Hall, this bottle of 7-colored honey will be yours." With this object, he didn't need to resort to any ploy. He only had to state his conditions. Roar! The nightmare beast was initially rather interested in it, but after hearing Wei Yudao's words, it began to lie back down lazily. "I know that you've attempted a breakthrough to become a spirit beast and failed. The 7-colored honey can expand your meridians and heal your wounds. It could help you surpass your bottleneck, so why do you remain so obstinate? Besides, you're only pledging loyalty to the Beast Hall, not to an individual. If you do so, the Beast Hall will surely devote massive resources to your cultivation and your growth. I hope that you can consider this matter." Wei Yudao said. Even though his words were moving, the nightmare beast remained indifferent. There was no difference to whom it would pledge loyalty to. In its eyes, it was still becoming the puppet of the humans. Rather than being restricted, it would prefer to venture out and live its life as it pleased. Seems like it's a failure. The crowd had finally seen a flicker of hope, but upon seeing this sight, their expressions sunk again. They thought that the 7-colored honey, ranked 5th on the list, could move the nightmare beast. However, they seemed to have underestimated the fellow's control. Even though the 7-colored honey is irresistible to ordinary savage beasts, this nightmare beast isn't too far away from reaching the level of a spirit beast. As such, its effects would be severely limited. On top of that, as a proud bearer of the dragon bloodline, how could it serve the humans for just a bit of 7-colored honey? Among the crowd, a 2-star pinnacle beast tamer commented, "Indeed. The dragon tribe is one of the strongest tribes in the continent, and they have the pride matching their standing. Even though this fellow's bloodline might be weak, it still won't lower its head to humans just over such small benefits. The only way for it to work is to offer it dragon blood." Dragon blood? You must be joking. Do you think that it's that easy to find some? Putting aside how difficult it is to find a member of the dragon tribe, even if you manage to find one, it would be impossible to subdue it. Even the weakest of their members is a half-transcension, like this nightmare beast before us. It isn't a being that normal beast tamers like us can hunt down. A commotion broke out. The beast taming competition had gathered dozens of hall masters and elders from the surrounding kingdoms. To be able to become the head of their organizations, their eye of discernment and knowledge far exceeded that of ordinary beast tamers. The 7-colored honey was valuable, but it wasn't sufficient to make a savage beast with a hint of dragon bloodline lower its head. My apologies. After a moment of persuasion, the nightmare beast still remained unmoved. In the end, Wei Yudao could only retreat in defeat. Is there anyone else who likes to try? Expecting this outcome, Hall Master Xie sighed. Turning to the crowd yet again, he asked. Silence. Initially, after hearing this news, many people were tempted to give it a try. However, after seeing the 2-star pinnacle and 3-star primary beast tamers falling in defeat, the others lost their courage as well. Allow me. Suddenly, a faint voice broke the silence. It's beast tamer Xianxia. Since he managed to clear the 10 beasts cage so easily, he must have a deep insight into beast taming. Perhaps, he just might succeed. I don't deny that his beast taming skills are incredible, but his cultivation is way too low. That's true. It's already a formidable feat for a beast tamer to tame a savage beast 1 or 2 small cultivation realm above him. He is only at Xianxia realm pinnacle while the other party is at half transcension. That's a total of 6 small cultivation realms. It's impossible for him to successfully tame it. Indeed. If he were at Zhizuan realm pinnacle, it might still be possible. But given his current strength, I don't think that he'll succeed. After identifying the source of the voice, the crowd flew into an uproar. Zhongxian's feat of clearing the 10 beasts cage had awed everyone in the beast hall. Thus, almost everyone here had heard of his name. His appearance had generated hope in some, but most simply shook their heads grimly. Beast taming wasn't just about technique, strength also played a major role. If one's cultivation realm differed too much from the savage beast, it would only look down on one. Given the lack of respect, how could it possibly allow one to tame it? I've heard that he came here to give it a try after clearing the 10 beasts cage yesterday, but he failed. Then why is he still volunteering again? Does he have a better idea in mind? I don't know. Let's wait and see then. There were some who knew that Zhongxian had already attempted yesterday. Even though they didn't know what had happened, given that the nightmare beast hadn't been tamed yet, it was clear that he had failed. You succeeded in learning the language. Upon seeing Zhongxian, Hall Master Xiaojuchen's eyes lit up. That fellow ran to the library, claiming that he was going to learn the ancient beast language. Yet, he appeared here today. Did it mean that he had succeeded in learning the language? Succeed? I'm still far from that. Zhongxian shook his head. It wasn't that the ancient beast language was too difficult, but that the level of this beast hall was simply too low. There were insufficient books here for the Library of Heaven's Path to work its wonders. Then, hearing Zhongxian admit that he was still far from success, Hall Master Xiaojuchen was baffled. I've only learned a few sounds, so I would like to give it a try. If it doesn't work, we can try the method I mentioned the previous time. Zhongxian said. The method you mentioned. Hearing those words, Hall Master Xiaojuchen fell speechless. Given how that fellow ran off to the library to study, he thought that he had given up on the idea. To think that he was still harboring those thoughts. Chapter 426. The might of the mysterious language. The ancient beast language is expansive and profound. It's impossible to succeed just by learning a few sounds. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing interjected. The other party said that he would study the language, and he cooped himself within the library for an entire day. Despite everything, Wei Yuqing still bore some expectations of the other party, yet he returned saying that he had only learned a few sounds. Are you here to amuse us? Even if you had learned the entire ancient beast language, it still remains an uncertainty whether that fellow will listen to you. With just a few sounds, do you think that the other party will bother with you? You must be joking. Given Zhongxian's declaration of "let me try," they thought that he was very confident of the matter. Yet, to think that he was here just to cause trouble. Seemed like even top geniuses weren't reliable either. If it doesn't work, you all should just think of a way to knock it out. Honestly speaking, Zhongxian did not have much confidence either, given that he had only learned a few sounds. We'll talk about that later. You should give it a try first. Afraid that the fellow would continue pestering him on the matter, Hall Master Xiaojuchen hurriedly interjected. What the heck is going through your mind? Just because you managed to tame the whirlwind wolves by pummeling them, do you think that the same method will work again? This is the nightmare beast, a top-notch savage beast possessing the dragon bloodline, a proud and noble existence. Even if you were to beat it to death, it would not lower its head to you. If it were that simple, they would have long done it. All right. Sensing the other party's reluctance, Zhongxian decided to give it a try first. Thus, he took 2 steps forward to the nightmare beast. The massive savage beast was nonchalant to Zhongxian's presence. It didn't even bother taking a glance at him. His starting. Wei Yudao clenched his fists tightly. He had even gone to the extent of taking out the 7-colored honey, but it proved to be useless. What kind of solution would the fellow who managed to clear the 10 beasts cage come up with? He stared fixedly at the situation in front with widened eyes, fearful that he would miss out a single detail. However, in the next moment, his lips couldn't help but twitch. That fellow didn't take out anything of interest to the nightmare beast, and instead, he simply frowned. After a long moment of struggling, a bizarre sound suddenly escaped from his throat. Gu. It sounded like lightning, and no one could understand what it meant. This is ancient beast language. Wei Yudao didn't comprehend the other party's bizarre action, but Hall Master Xiaojuchen and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing's face immediately tightened. They hurriedly turned their gazes over to the nightmare beast. That fellow had gone off to study the ancient beast language previously, so it was likely that this sound was a part of the language. Even though it was just a single sound, there was an off chance that it might just work. Under the intense gazes of the crowd, the lazy nightmare beast suddenly opened its eyes. Then, it yawned lazily, lay down, and fell silent. It is ineffective. Seeing that it was completely ineffective, Xianxia scratched his head. Of the ancient beast language, Xianxia had only learned a total of 8 words. He had no problem reading or verbalizing it, but as the meaning wasn't written in the books, he couldn't tell what it was either. In other words, he only knew how to speak those words, he didn't know what they meant at all. Even if he were to voice out all of them, that fellow still wouldn't know what he was up to. The next one. Even so, it was still worth a try. Thus, Xianxia opened his mouth once more. Woo! It sounded like the call of an eagle, crisp and bright, piercing one's ears. Hall Master Xianxia and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing hurriedly turned their gazes over, but the nightmare beast seemed to have fallen into a deeper sleep. With its paws cushioning its head, it lay comfortably on the spot. So, is it working or not? The duo stared at one another in confusion. If that fellow's ancient beast language was useful, why was there no response from the nightmare beast? But at the same time, the nightmare beast did at least adjust its sleeping posture, so whether it was completely useless or not, could the sounds that Xianxia was voicing a lullaby? I thought that you went away to learn the ancient beast language. Why did you learn a lullaby instead? What is the use of your lullaby? What I want is to tame it, not for it to sleep. Gee! Amidst their bewilderment, the young man before him voiced the third sound. This time, not only did the nightmare beast get into a comfortable sleeping posture, it even stuck its tongue out, and saliva was flowing out of its mouth. The heck! With just 3 notes, he managed to bring the nightmare beast into a deep sleep. The surroundings beast tamers were stunned. They thought that the young genius would use some kind of inconceivable beast taming technique on the nightmare beast. While their thoughts were spot on, it was completely different from what they were thinking. Aren't we supposed to tame it? What do you mean by luring it to sleep? Xianxia was baffled as well. However, upon seeing the sight, his eyes lit up. This is good as well. If I can knock it out with these words, I won't have to waste my effort on trying to knock it out. Besides the ancient beast language, Xianxia had a backup plan. He could knock the nightmare beast out, and through the library of Heaven's Path, he would be able to determine its flaws and tame it. But it was a pity that Xianxia, Wei Yuqing, and the others refused to cooperate with him, and Xianxia wasn't a match for the nightmare beast himself. Thus, he had been unable to carry it out. If he could lure it to sleep through the ancient beast language, that would be perfect. Woo wai hi woo woo. The more he thought about it, the happier he got. Thus, he voiced of the remaining words all at once. Hearing those words, the crowd immediately turned their gazes to the nightmare beast. This was especially so for Hall Master Xianxia. Anxiety could be seen in his eyes. However, with a single look, he suddenly felt a wave of vertigo striking him. The drowsy nightmare beast abruptly opened its eyes, and its massive body rose up. Roar! A deafening roar pierced through the heavens, parting the clouds above. The crowd in the surroundings felt dizzy-headed under the powerful roar. At the same moment, the massive head suddenly charged straight toward the metal cage. Wang! The formation immediately activated, sealing its movements. Even so, under the powerful charge, the sturdy metal cage was bent out of shape, and it seemed as though it would collapse soon. This is bad. Hall Master Xianxia's eyes narrowed, and his face reflected his astonishment. He thought that the fellow was still immobile from its severe injuries. To think that he had recovered sufficiently to stand up and exert such offensive might after a few days of recuperation. But of course, perhaps it was agitated by Beast Tamer Zhong's ancient beast language. It seemed to be in an extremely bad mood. If the nightmare beast were to escape under such conditions, the beast hall would be in grave danger. Most likely, it might be wiped off the face of the world. See what you've done. The more Hall Master Xianxia thought about it, the more furious he became. Thus, He turned around and chastised Xianxia.
What in the world is this?
I asked you here to tame the savage beast, not to provoke it. Elders, prepare the constellation beast confinement formation. Knowing that it was useless to blame this fellow at this point, Hall Master Xianxia bellowed.
Yes.
The elders of Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall also knew how dangerous the situation was, so they immediately got into action. They hurriedly rushed to their places with a grim expression. The Constellation Beast Confinement Formation was a powerful formation used to trap savage beasts. Many of the elders in the Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall had studied and cultivated it. As long as they ran to their allocated location to infuse their Xianxia into the formation, they would be able to activate it even without in-depth understanding of the formations.
What's going on?
Beast Tamer Zhong seems to have provoked that savage beast.
Isn't he here to tame it?
How did he end up provoking it instead? Wei Yudao, Jiang Nanping, and others also felt nervous upon seeing the situation. That was a half-transcension savage beast. Once it went on a rampage, the entire beast hall would be reduced to ruins.
Hong hong hong.
Amidst everyone's shocked gazes, the nightmare beast threw its body at the metal cage several more times, and a huge hole, through which he could escape, appeared in it.
Wang!
As soon as its head appeared outside, a clear buzz suddenly echoed. The Constellation Beast Confinement Formation had been activated. A white light shot out from the locations of the elders, forming a gigantic net that wrapped itself around the nightmare beast. Trapped by the gigantic net of light, the nightmare beast became even more irritated. It howled furiously, and its giant claws grabbed at empty air. TZZZZZZ. White energy emanations reminiscent of sword chi shot out from the claws of the nightmare beast, striking straight at the net trapping it. The net tremored violently, and as though a shield struck by a powerful hammer, a deep reverberation sounded.
Pu! Pu!
Under the massive force, some of the elders standing at the center of the formation spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Half-transcension savage beasts were already an extremely strong existence, and this fellow possessed the dragon bloodline on top of that. Its immense strength allowed it to match up to even a transcendent mortal expert. Even though the elders were strong as well, most of them were only at Zhizuan Realm Intermediate and Advanced stage. They weren't a match for this fellow at all. Hurry up and infuse more Xianxia to reinforce the formation. Seeing that the nightmare beast was about to escape, Xianxia panicked. He hurriedly called for help. As soon as the formation collapses, the entire beast hall would surely be destroyed. They could not back away at this point.
Hong Long.
Knowing the severity of the issue, most of the elders immediately got into action. They charged forward and infused all of their Xianxia into the formation. Accompanying the furious surge of Xianxia into the formation, the darkened net suddenly glowed brilliantly once more. While the formation had been strengthened, the nightmare beast seemed to have derived strength from its rage as well. Roaring furiously once more, its lower limbs pushed against the ground, and its massive body struck the massive net in midair.
Sai La.
Under the violent power contained in the massive body, the beast confinement net caved in and was torn apart.
Deng 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 deng.
All of the elders who had operated the formation collapsed onto the floor with pale faces.
Who?
After escaping from the formation, the nightmare beast glared at Xianxia with widened eyes. Carrying unparalleled strength in its body, it charged swiftly toward him. It's over. Seeing that the formation and metal cage had failed to contain the nightmare beast, Hall Master Xianxia's face was ghastly pale. He didn't expect that the savage beast would suddenly go on a rampage in the midst of the beast taming process. Given that so many people were unable to withstand the might of the nightmare beast, no matter how talented beast tamer Zhong was, he would surely be torn to shreds.
Moo!
Knowing that it was impossible to save the other party, Hall Master Xianxia was about to avert his gaze when the young man released another bizarre sound.
Xianxia staggered.
It was precisely because of your random babbling that provoked this fellow. Yet, to think that you wouldn't learn your lesson.
Are you that intent to die?
Just as Hall Master Xianxia was about to urge Xianxia to hurry up and leave instead of continuing to dabble in the ancient beast language or whatever it was, he saw the nightmare beast suddenly kneeling onto the floor after hearing the sound. It stuck out its tongue, and it licked the young man all over. Its appearance, was no different from the whirlwind wolves back then. Word of submission, bloodline suppression. Could this be the true voice of dragons? Hall Master Xianxia's eyes narrowed, and his face paled. What in the world was going on? Chapter 427. True Voice of Dragons. The true voice of dragons was a language that only ancient pure-blooded dragons were capable of using. As long as one's dragon bloodline didn't reach the level of a pure-blooded dragon, a single word would cause a suppression from its bloodline, forcing it into submission. The nightmare beast was still baring its fangs at Beast Tamer Zhong previously, but at the very next moment, it suddenly fell to the floor and became as tame as a pup. If this wasn't the language depicted in the legends, Hall Master Xianxia had no idea what other languages were capable of such a feat, but didn't this language disappear along with the dragon tribe, its heritage lost? How did he learn of it? More importantly, even if the members of the dragon tribe were to impart the true voice of dragons to him, it was impossible for humans to learn it. This was not just a matter of talent. Even if one possessed superior Xianxia, the human body was still unable to withstand its sharp notes. This sound had to travel through all of the meridians within one's body and harmonize all of one's acupoints before it could be produced. Even if one cultivated the most profound cultivation technique, it was impossible for one to open up all of their meridians and acupoints. Can it really be that he's the true incarnation of dragons? Hall Master Xianxia narrowed his eyes, and his body trembled uncontrollably. Legends had it that the dragon tribe traveled across the world, and they took on many forms. Some became beasts, some became humans, some became spirits, some became monsters. No one could discern their true identity. Just by pummeling the whirlwind wolves, the latter immediately submitted to him and fawned on him with a single fist. He caused the tiger-head beasts to play dead with just a few words. He made the steel-armed golden ape waved him goodbye, as though buddies with decades of history behind them. If he isn't a true incarnation of dragons, how can he possibly achieve such ridiculous feats? Even 5-star beast tamers are incapable of such a feat. Regardless of whether he is one, I mustn't reveal this matter. Otherwise, I'll surely be silenced. Hall Master Xianxia's face paled. The members of the dragon tribe were incomparably strong, and from birth, they were granted with powerful destructive might. If this beast Tamer Zhong was a true incarnation of dragons, and he exposed the other party's true identity when he wished to conceal the fact, he might incur the wrath and killing intent of the other party to himself. Hall Master Xianxia's conjectures caused his face to slowly pale in fear. On the other hand, the crowd, baffled by the sight before them, was about to go insane from bewilderment. The rage of the nightmare beast was not feigned in the least. Even the grade 3 pinnacle formation maintained by so many elders was torn apart. Its might was truly fearsome. Yet, this strong, proud fellow was suddenly lying on the floor, licking the other party's pants. What in the world happened in between? What is it doing? I've no idea. Could it be that there's something about Beast Tamer Zhong's pants that's even more delicious than the 7-colored honey? Is that why it's licking it non-stop? It can't be that. It has been tamed? But even if it's tamed, it couldn't possibly have changed its attitude so quickly. Some of the older beast tamers tore their beards out, but their minds were too preoccupied for them to feel pain. The sight before them was simply too frightening. In the blink of an eye, a half-transcendent savage beast, who was thinking of slaughtering everyone here just a moment ago, was suddenly lying so docilely on the floor. No one could accept this abrupt twist. With a scream, this fellow was tamed. Wei Yudao, Jiang Nanping, and the others stared at one another, and their heads were about to burst from shock. Wei Yudao had taken out the 7-colored honey, which was ranked 5th on the list, but even so, he was disregarded. Just when they thought that this haughty fellow could never be tamed, Beast Tamer Zhong simply cried out a word, and that fellow immediately sprawled on the floor and fawned on the other party, as though afraid that the other party would not take him in. When did a half-transcendent savage beast become so shameless? Was it insane, or were our eyes playing tricks on us? In truth, Xianxia was dumbfounded as well. Previously, when he accidentally agitated the nightmare beast through the ancient beast language, he was anxious as well. He only gave that bizarre language a try, especially since he could escape with the Heaven's Path movement art if he failed. He didn't think that the other party's attitude would change completely after hearing it. If only he'd known before those words were so formidable, he wouldn't have wasted his effort with the ancient beast language. Glancing at the massive head, which kept cuddling itself up to him, Xianxia suppressed his astonishment and asked, "You wish to submit to me?"
Roar. The nightmare beast hurriedly nodded its head. This.
Even though the other party had admitted to the matter, Xianxia was still a little dumbfounded. Wasn't it being a little too easy? Then, let's establish the contract then. Even though Xianxia was bewildered, he knew that this was a good opportunity. Touching the other party's head, he drew a droplet of blood from the tip of his forefinger. As though fearing that Xianxia would change his mind, the nightmare beast hurriedly swallowed it with a contented look. After which, Xianxia felt a will being bound to his own, allowing him to communicate with the other party. This is complete submission. The beast tamers in the surroundings felt lightheaded. Just by shouting a few bizarre sounds, the other party actually succeeded. When did taming a half-transcendent savage beast become so easy? To think that we even thought about competing with him. Many of the geniuses of the younger generation were on the verge of tears. Even though Xianxia had passed the 10 beasts cage, there were still a few who refused to concede. However, upon seeing this sight, they realized that the difference in their capability was simply too vast. Even Hall Master Xianxia, a 3-star beast tamer, was unable to succeed, yet, in just a dozen breaths or so, the other party was already done. This feat was so incredible that it felt that it could not have been done by a human. This is a truly master beast tamer. Someone amidst the crowd sighed. Hearing those words, the rest nodded their heads in agreement. Most probably, only masters of this level would be capable of taming the nightmare beast so easily and clear the 10 beasts cage in half a tea's time. Everyone turned their gazes toward the master, curious to see how he would do now that he had established a contract, only to see the other party walking toward Hall Master Xianxia. Hall Master Xie, I've already tamed this fellow, so 20 droplets of spirit beast blood essence. Wait, you said that you're going to give me 10 more. When will you be passing those to me? Spirit beast blood essence. Xianxia's body swayed, and his mouth twitched. When I told you to tame this nightmare beast, I meant that you should convince it to serve the beast hall as the organization's tamed beast. Yet, not only did you take it for yourself, you even have to cheek to ask for compensation. Can you be more reasonable? It is just like I have asked you to help me court a beautiful lady that I met with much difficulty, and yet, you seduced her for yourself, and you even expect me to pay you for it. Hall Master Xianxia felt so stifled inside that he was on the verge of throwing up blood. You cannot be so unreasonable. Beast Tamer Zhong, you have tamed the nightmare beast to become your tamed beast. Isn't it inappropriate for you to expect us to pay you spirit beast blood essence like that? Seeing the Hall Master go speechless from rage, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing could not help but interject. Inappropriate? Didn't I tame the nightmare beast? Xianxia asked. That's right. Didn't you say that you'll pay me the spirit beast blood essence as long as I tame it? Xianxia continued. Yes. Hall Master Xianxia was on the verge of tears. Initially, he thought that no matter how formidable this fellow was, he was only a Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivator. Given how the nightmare beast disregarded even them, how could it possibly submit to such a weak fellow? Never in their dreams did they expect that the other party would really succeed. Since you've agreed to it, then we should get it over and done with. Otherwise, I'll go and clear the 10 beasts cage. Xianxia said. Forget it. Grand Elder Wei, go and fetch the spirit beast blood essence. The corner of Hall Master Xianxia's lips twitched, and he hurriedly waved his hands. There was no way to undo the matter of the nightmare beast anymore. On the other hand, if that fellow were to continue challenging the 10 beasts cage, it would not be long before all of the savage beasts in the Beast Hall would become his. If that truly happened, then as the Hall Master of the Beast Hall, he would become a huge laughingstock. All right. Even though Grand Elder Wei Yuqing felt frustrated as well, he still fulfilled the Hall Master's command. A moment later, he returned with a jade bottle in his hands. Taking the jade bottle over, Xianxia uncapped the lid and took a look. Scarlet blood flowed within the container, and it filled up to half of the bottle. Making a rough estimation, he confirmed there were around 30 droplets inside. Great! Xianxia's purpose at the Beast Hall was this. Having obtained what he wanted, Xianxia happily placed the bottle into his storage ring. Seeing the sight, Hall Master Xiaoqian's heart bled. Despite the huge accumulation of Shenyuan Kingdom Beast Hall over a span of 1,000 years, it only had around 50 droplets here. Having more than half of it taken away in an instant, he could not help but feel a sense of loss. However, upon thinking that it was possible for the other party to be a true incarnation of dragons, he hurriedly pushed down his displeasure. All right, there's no use for you to follow me. You might as well submit to the Beast Hall and stay here. As long as you agree to it, I'll take care of the afflictions you are suffering from. It's also not entirely impossible for me to help you become a spirit beast. Oblivious to Hall Master Xiaoqian's reactions, Xianxia turned to the nightmare beast and waved his hands casually. This fellow was strong, but it was not capable of flying. Thus, its usability was limited to Xianxia. Shenyuan Kingdom was only a temporary resting point. Xianxia had to reach the Myriad Kingdom Alliance within 3 months, and it would be impossible for him to take the other party along. Since that was the case, he might as well sell a favor to the Beast Hall. Of course, if the other party had not given the Spirit Beast blood essence to him, he would have rather let the Nightmare Beast loose than help tame it for the Beast Hall. In the end, Xianxia was no Samaritan. If the other party had reneged on his promise, why should he help them? You! What did you say? You want the Nightmare Beast to submit to our Beast Hall? Initially, Hall Master Xiaoqian was displeased by the other party's extortion, but upon hearing his words, his breathing hastened in agitation. UN. Xianxia waved his hands casually. This. Hall Master Xiaoqian and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing were stunned. Their eyes slowly turned red. This was a half-transcension savage beast. If any one of them were to tame it, it would be impossible for them to give it up. Yet, this fellow was saying that he would give it to them. Wasn't he being too generous? They thought that the other party was a selfish and greedy person who only knew how to extort from others. However, Xianxia's actions had changed their opinion of him. Perhaps, he really might have some urgent use for the Spirit Beast blood essence. A half-transcension savage beast which possessed the potential to make the breakthrough to become a spirit beast was clearly much more valuable than 30 droplets of Spirit Beast blood essence. In fact, even 100 droplets would still be unable to match up to its value. Since the other party was willing to give away such a formidable savage beast directly, how could he possibly be a greedy person? We misunderstood him. Geniuses have their own pride, so how could he possibly act dishonorably just for this bit of interest? A thought suddenly appeared in their heads. The impression the two had of Beast Tamer Zhong immediately went through a 180-degree reversal. But at that moment, the young man before them suddenly spoke up hesitantly. Oh, right. Since I convinced the Nightmare Beast to submit to Beast Hall, shouldn't you all offer some token of appreciation? For example, spirit stones, pills, medicinal herbs, or that sort. I wouldn't mind a carriage or 2 of them. Hall Master Xiaoqian and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing. Chapter 428. Uncle Sun Qiong is here. We are the Beast Hall, not some spirit stone mining clan. How much of it do you think we possess? Still a carriage or 2. Just a few dozen would already be almost their entire stock. As for pills, medicinal herbs, and the sort, even if the Beast Hall had them, they are mainly reserved for the savage beasts. How in the world are we going to find so many for you? They had just thought that this fellow was generous when he gave himself in right after. Beast Tamer Zhong, you must be jesting. It's not that we don't want to give some to you, but it's just that we don't have that many resources here. Hall Master Xiaoqian replied with a reddened face. It's all right if you don't have those. However, there's something that I really require, and I hope that you won't turn me down. Xianxia turned to look at them. Feel free to speak. I need over 1,000 half-Jizuan and Jizuan realm cultivation technique manuals. There are no requirements to their quality, and the more there are, the better it is. Xianxia said. Xianxia's motive wasn't spirit stones or medicinal herbs, But this. Only with sufficient cultivation technique could he form the Xizuan realm heaven's path divine art and achieve a breakthrough. No matter what, if he wanted to avenge Lu Chong, he would require strength. 1,000 half Xizuan and Xizuan realm cultivation technique manuals. Hall Master Xie Jiuchen blinked. What did he need those for? It's not like you could boil cultivation techniques together to make a stew. On top of that, to demand nothing of their quality. This is simple, I can prepare them for you. However, I'll require at least 3 days. After pondering for a moment, Hall Master Xie Jiuchen nodded. Xizuan realm cultivation techniques were valuable in Qianwu Kingdom, and it was nigh impossible to find even a single one in the market. However, in Shenyuan Kingdom, most clans would possess several books. Collecting 1,000 of them was troublesome, but with the connections of the Beast Hall, it would not be too difficult. Fine. Hearing that it was possible for the other party to collect all of them, Zhong Xian heaved a sigh of relief. With this, he had met 2 main goals he had at the Beast Hall: Spirit Beast Blood Essence and Cultivation Technique Manuals. All right, I'll cure your wounds now. Zhong Xian turned to look at the Nightmare Beast. The fellow had suffered some afflictions when it failed in its breakthrough to transcendent mortal realm. Previously, Zhong Xian had promised to treat it as part of his deal, so it was time for him to fulfill the end of his bargain. Roar! The Nightmare Beast knew that it would not be able to follow behind Zhong Xian once its injuries had recovered, so it howled in reluctance. The other party was an expert capable of producing the true voice of dragons. If it were to follow behind him, it would surely be able to reach great heights in the future. Staying at this Beast Hall meant losing this great opportunity. However, the master had already made its stand. Contractual bound to Zhong Xian, it did not dare to protest. For me to solve your problem, I've to know what problems you are suffering from first. Ignoring its unhappiness, Zhong Xian glanced at it and said, "All right. Knock yourself out." Roar! The Nightmare Beast widened its eyes in bewilderment. Hall Master Xie Jiuchen and Grand Elder Wei Yuqing were speechless as well. It seemed like this fellow had not given up his intention of knocking the Nightmare Beast out. "What are you roaring for? Hurry up!" Zhong Xian chastised with a slight frown. He had no time to waste here. He needed to make use of his time to cultivate Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan. Roar! It stared at Zhong Xian pleadingly, but upon seeing the other party's determined gaze, it gritted its teeth before striking its massive hand on its head. Pada! The sight before it turned dark, and it passed out. If Xie Jiuchen and the others wanted to knock it out, they would probably have to go through a huge hassle. It was much simpler for it to do the work itself. What is it doing? What's happening? When the Nightmare Beast barged out of its cage, the other beast tamers immediately retreated far away. Thus, they missed out on the conversation of the others. However, upon seeing the huge fellow knock itself out, bizarre expressions appeared on their faces. Beast Tamer Zhong is about to treat that huge fellow. Hall Master Feng and Beast Tamer Wang chuckled. Treat? Luo Tang, Fang Jin, and the others were bewildered. One had to knock out savage beasts before treating them? This is Beast Tamer Zhong's unique diagnosis method, the unconscious treatment method. Hall Master Feng explained. Unconscious treatment method? Beast pummeling taming method. What the heck is with his techniques? The duo found themselves at the end of their tolerance for this insanity. They had seen many eccentric things in this world, but such a bizarre sight was one they could have never imagined. Ever since they were apprentice beast tamers, there was an ironclad rule seared deep in their minds. To tame a savage beast, one had to have an intimate relationship with it first. One must never come into conflict with. Yet, the beast pummeling taming method and unconscious treatment method. If anyone else were to try pummeling a savage beast, they would definitely be beaten to death. Yet, not only was this fellow still in perfect condition, he even managed to get the savage beast to submit to it. Just by thinking about it made them feel stifled. Amidst everyone's bewildered and gloomy gazes, Zhong Xian had already touched the Nightmare Beast and formed a corresponding book. Flipping through it, he found the root of the fellow's illness. Indeed, he suffered severe injuries from his failed breakthrough. Not only are his meridians injured, His internal organs are also damaged. He will require the nourishment of medicinal herbs. I'll write down a prescription for you all now. If you all treat him, it'll help you all in earning his goodwill." Xianxia said. This fellow was indeed severely injured. After all, if that wasn't the case, it would have been impossible for the Beast Hall to capture him. On top of that, he overexerted himself previously, exacerbating his injuries. Even though Xianxia could treat it without the Library of Heaven's Path given his current level of medical knowledge, he would be only able to treat its symptoms, not the root of its illness. Knowing the specific location of the injuries had made it much simpler to cure the nightmare beast. However, to heal it to the point that it could try for transcendent mortal realm once more would still take at least half a year. Of course, if Xianxia were to use his Heaven's Path Xianxia, the other party's recovery rate would be boosted. However, Xianxia's current cultivation realm was far too lacking as compared to the other party. Putting aside the doubt of the effectiveness of the Heaven's Path Xianxia under such circumstances, there was a chance that Xianxia's pure Xianxia might be revealed, and this would bring him a whole string of trouble. Thus, he would rather dump the problem on the Beast Hall. In any case, this would also serve as a platform for them to strike up a relationship with the Nightmare Beast. Yes. Hall Master Xianxia nodded. Xianxia took out a piece of a paper and a brush, and started writing down a prescription. The main ingredient of the prescription just so happened to be Wei Yudao's 7-colored honey. He was only responsible for providing the prescription. As for how the other party would negotiate the matter, that was no longer a matter for him to worry over. I need a quiet chamber. After dealing with this matter, Xianxia raised his request. Hall Master Xianxia did not dare to keep Xianxia waiting. He hurriedly prepared a quiet and spacious residence for him. This beast tamer Zhong had successfully cleared the 10 beasts cage. Just that in itself was sufficient reason for the Beast Hall to give him a residence already. Not to mention, the other party even tamed the Nightmare Beast and gave it to the Beast Hall. It would be hard for the Beast Hall to return this debt. After settling Zhao Ya and the others in, Xianxia turned to Hall Master Xianxia and asked, "Right, Hall Master Xie, may I trouble you on another matter?" "Feel free to speak." Hall Master Xianxia chuckled. Despite this fellow young age, Xianxia already viewed him as a fellow peer, or perhaps even a senior. Putting all things aside, just the fact that Beast Tamer Zhong was able to tame the Nightmare Beast so easily and produce the true voice of dragons showed that his capability was far beyond his. "Hall Master, may I trouble you to assign a person to escort a friend of mine to Gale Valley of the Duskfall Mountains?" Xianxia called Sun Qiong over and gestured to him. "Duskfall Mountains. Gale Valley? You are going to the Poison Hall." Hall Master Xianxia narrowed his eyes. The Shenyuan Kingdom Poison Hall branch was well hidden, and very few people knew of its exact position. Even so, as the head of the Beast Hall, Xianxia was well informed on such matters. It was in Gale Valley. That region was usually forbidden lands for ordinary cultivators. Why was Beast Tamer Zhong sending his subordinate over? "You know of the Poison Hall as well?" "Indeed, I need him to make a trip for me." Xianxia chuckled. "But, the surrounding area of the Poison Hall is treacherous land." Hall Master Xianxia tried to talk Xianxia out of it. The Poison Hall had a horrible reputation, and there were many casualties under them. To abruptly pay a visit was an extremely dangerous affair. More importantly, this subordinate of his was only at Dingli Realm. I have a friend at the Poison Hall, and I just need Sun Qiong to look for him in my stead. There won't be any danger, so you don't have to worry. It's just that I need someone to protect him on the way to avoid unnecessary trouble," Xianxia explained. Back then, when Ji Mu left, he had left Xianxia with a token, saying that he could bring it to look for him when he needed help. Since Xianxia was going against the Shenyuan royal family now, he needed all the help he could get. However, Xianxia urgently needed to cultivate now so that he could gain sufficient strength to exact his vengeance. Thus, after much contemplation, he decided to send Sun Qiong over. This fellow might be arrogant, but he was able to retain his composure even before experts like Su Fan and Ling Yuheng. As such, he was in a much better position than Zhao Ya and the others. "All right then. I'll go make preparations." Hearing that Xianxia had a friend at the poison hall, Hall Master Xianxia hesitated for a moment before eventually nodding his head. Then, after the other party left, Xianxia turned around to face Sun Qiong. "Butler son, I have something I require your help on." "Young master, feel free to speak." Sun Qiong hurriedly clasped his fist. As the sole direct disciple of the old master, Sun Qiong had to obey Xianxia's commands. "Take this token, visit a poison master named Jiyu Mu in the Gale Valley Poison Hall and have him meet me at Shenyuan Kingdom." Xianxia instructed, taking out a token. "All right." Sun Qiong nodded his head. "May I know if this Jiyu Mu is young master's friend? How should I address him?" Xianxia had never told anyone about the happenings in the poison hall, so Sun Qiong did not know about the matter. "Oh, this Jiyu Mu is my teacher's grandstudent, meaning my junior nephew," Xianxia replied. Initially, Xianxia was going to say that the other party was his grandstudent, but if the other party were to find out that his senior granduncle was not even 20 yet, he would surely bear doubts. Thus, he might as well push the identity of the elusive expert to his teacher. In any case, his teacher had always been an unfathomable figure. Adding another layer of secrecy to his identity did not mean anything much at this point. The old master's grand student. Sun Qiong's eyes lit up. He did not expect the old master to be so formidable as to have a grand student in the poison hall. As a servant of the old master, even if I am of inferior standing to the old master, I am at least of the same standing as the young master. Since that Jiyu Mu lad is the old master's grandstudent, young master's junior nephew, that means that he's my junior as well. Sun Qiong thought. As his senior, it's only right for him to run over as soon as is called. Besides, as his senior, he should at least welcome me grandly with good alcohol and meat. The more he thought about it, the more satisfied Sun Qiong felt with the job he was assigned. Seeing the other party's delighted expression, Xianxia warned, "The poison hall is a dangerous place, so be careful." "Young master, rest assured." Sun Qiong nodded. "I'll leave a surge of Xianxia with you just in case someone tries to poison you. At the very least, you'll be able to protect yourself this way." After a moment of hesitation, Xianxia flicked his finger, and a surge of heaven's path Xianxia flew through the other party's meridians, seeped into his dantian, and lay dormant within. Chapter 429. Uncle Sun Qiong is here. Xianxia's Zhongsha realm heaven's path Xianxia could neutralize all poison of grade 3 and below. It was hard to tell what kind of dangers Sun Qiong would meet, so it was best for him to be careful. With this surge of Xianxia, Sun Qiong should be able to protect himself from the poison of ordinary poison masters. "Thank you, young master." Knowing that the young master was doing this for his safety, Sun Qiong bowed in gratitude. After the last few days of fellowship, he knew that even though the young master might be inferior to the old master, he was also a man of great capability. Since he decided to do so, he must have his own considerations. After explaining the method of triggering the surge of Xianxia and ensuring that the other party understood his words, Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. Even though Sun Qiong was a little coarse, his ability to get things done was reliable. All along, he had been able to reliably accomplish the tasks Xianxia entrusted to him, saving him a lot of hassle. Xianxia was an unfathomable, advanced master teacher, and the butler of such a figure had to possess a befitting disposition. Even though Sun Qiong's cultivation was so, he had been able to play the role of a butler perfectly. Otherwise, Xianxia would not have gone through the trouble of bringing him here from Xianxian Kingdom. These are a few pills beneficial to your cultivation. Remember to cultivate hard even when traveling. With a flick of his wrist, Xianxia took out several pills that he obtained from the Lin clan and passed them over. "Yes." Sun Qiong hurriedly received them. He was no fool. Given that his cultivation was already lagging behind, he knew that if he did not work harder, he would soon lose his value. While Xianxia was delegating a few more points for Sun Qiong to take note of, Hall Master Xianxia returned with an elder before him. It was Wei Yuqing. "The poison hall is dangerous, and after much consideration, I decided to assign Elder Wei to follow him. This way, his safety can be guaranteed," Hall Master Xie said. On top of being a 3-star beast tamer, Wei Yuqing was a Zhizuan realm pinnacle expert. Other than Xianxia, he was the strongest person in the entire Beast Hall. Also, he possessed the deepest understanding of the affairs of the Poison Hall as well. It should be safer for him to escort Beast Tamer Zhong's subordinate. Beast Tamer Zhong was an important guest of the Beast Hall. On top of that, they had yet to fully tame the Nightmare Beast. Thus, no matter what, they had to protect the other party's subordinate well. I'll be depending on Elder Wei then. Xianxia clasped his fist. Don't worry. Wei Yuqing nodded with a smile. Even though I've never been to the Poison Hall, I've heard some rumors about it. If it's just looking for someone, there won't be any danger. As long as they weren't going to the Poison Hall to wreak havoc, it should be fine. After all, even though Poison Masters were formidable, Beast Tamers, as a member of the Upper Nine Paths, were not to be trifled with either. UN. Since Grand Elder Wei Yuqing was making a move personally, Xianxia felt reassured. The duo left on an aerial savage beast. After trading some pleasantries with Xianxia, Hall Master Xianxia took his leave. The Nightmare Beast had awoken, and he had to make use of this opportunity to strike up an intimate relationship with the latter before it recovered fully. Time to start. After the crowd left, Xianxia found himself a quiet room, conditioned himself, and sat down cross-legged. With his recent gains, he should have sufficient Spirit Beast Blood Essence to reach Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan. After adjusting his state, Xianxia flicked his wrist, and a few droplets of Spirit Beast Blood Essence appeared in his palm. There was a dense concentration of spiritual energy in the room. This was a unique cultivation chamber in the residence, and a spiritual energy gathering formation had been set up here. Closing his eyes, Xianxia began to drive his Xianxia according to the formula stated within the Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan. Then, with a flick of his finger, the blood droplets suddenly turned into a mist, permeating into the pores throughout Xianxia's body. The Spirit Beast Blood Essence was the essence of the blood extracted from a spirit beast. Even though it wasn't as valuable as inner cores, harnessed within every droplet was the very essence of a spirit beast. The energy contained in every droplet was even purer and denser than those in spirit stones. A huge spiral formed within his body, taking in all of the energy within the blood to nourish every single cell within him. The effects are indeed significantly less effective than before. Taking a look at his body after absorbing the first batch of Spirit Beast Blood Essence, Xianxia frowned. Along with the rise in his strength, the requirement on the Spirit Beast Blood Essence would increase as well. In the past, a single drop could induce massive improvements, but now, its effects had been greatly cut. But in any case, Xianxia had sufficient Spirit Blood Essence in his possession, so he had no worries. Based on his previous calculations, 20 droplets of Spirit Beast Blood Essence should be sufficient for him to reach Xizuan Realm Pinnacle. As long as his strength reached that level, it would be possible for him to face even a half-transcension cultivator through the Eye of Insight and Library of Heaven's Path. He would be able to exact vengeance then. TZZZZ. Under the effects of the Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan, the constitution of Xianxia's muscles were modified, making his physical strength soar to new heights. Boom! After an unknown period of time, with the sound of an explosion, Xianxia seemed to have broken a shackle binding his body. It felt as though he was submerged into a tub of hot water, and a feeling of relaxation spread all over him. Finally, he had broken through the 9,999 ding bottleneck to reach the level of Xizuan Realm. Even though there was only a single ding of difference between 9999 ding and 10,000 ding, it set apart the boundary between a half Xizuan and Xizuan. With this leap, one's level of existence became completely different. Xizuan was the peak of the fighter realm. Regardless of whether it was one's physical body, spirit, or energy, one would be approaching the limits of a human at this realm. Only when one had reached this realm could one attempt to break their mortal limits to become a transcendent mortal. Upon success, their lifespan and strength would be enhanced immensely. If one could not even take the step to Xizuan Realm, one would be doomed to remain as a mortal for life. One could only watch helplessly as time left its mark on one. In other words, it was the stepping stone to become a true expert. Many cultivators found themselves locked outside its gates, unable to take the final step in, and thus, dying in regret. After previously absorbing the 2 droplets of Spirit Beast Blood Essence, Xianxia also found himself stuck before this hurdle, unable to raise his strength by that final ding to push through the next realm no matter how he cultivated. However, with sufficient blood essence in his hands, he could finally take that final step. With the breakthrough in his cultivation, Xianxia's reaction speed and senses were enhanced immensely. His vision became much sharper and clearer. As expected of the top realm of a fighter, just the breakthrough in his physical body had brought him many benefits. Even though his strength was just increased by a single ding, his overall fighting prowess rose by almost 2 folds. If he were to fight with the steel-armed golden ape once more, even without the library of Heaven's Path, he would be able to crush it easily with just his strength. This was Jizuan realm. Finally! Knowing that it would be easier to raise his cultivation now, having broken through his bottleneck, Xianxia frenziedly absorbed the spirit beast blood essence within the jade bottle and drove the Heaven's Path golden body to Dan. Once again, his strength rose at a rate visible to the eye. 10,100 ding. 10,200 ding. 10,300 ding. 30,000 ding. In just a single day, Xianxia reached 30,000 ding straight, granting him strength equivalent to a Jizuan realm advanced stage expert. At this moment, he had already expended a total of 18 drops of spirit beast blood essence. The expenditure is greater than I've expected. He thought that it would only take at most 10 droplets for him to reach Jizuan realm advanced stage, but contrary to his expectations, it took 18 instead. That was far beyond his estimations. It was fortunate that he received 10 additional droplets from Hall Master Xie. With 12 droplets remaining, it should be sufficient for him to push to Jizuan realm pinnacle. Continue. Taking a deep breath, Xianxia closed his eyes and continued cultivating. While Xianxia was in seclusion, Sun Qiong had finally arrived at the Gale Valley in the Duskfall Mountains after half a day of traveling. Similar to the Red Lotus Range, it extended far beyond the horizon, and the Poison Hall was hidden somewhere amidst this vast plot of lush greenery. If one didn't know the exact location of the Poison Hall, putting aside finding it, one would probably end up dead at the hands of the powerful savage beasts prowling around or from the poisonous mist which lingered in the air. Be careful. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing took out an antidote pill in advance. The duo abandoned the aerial savage beast and began proceeding through the mountain valley on foot. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing's strength of Jizuan realm pinnacle made the weaker savage beasts dare not approach him. On top of that, he was an experienced veteran, and under his guide, the duo avoided most of the danger. After a day of walking, having circled around innumerable savage beasts and poisonous mist, a massive infrastructure appeared before them. Countless tall dark grey stone buildings reminiscent of ancient relics clustered around it. The layout was similar to the Red Lotus Range Poison Hall, but it was clearly larger and grander. There were all kinds of formidable formations laid out in the area. After circling around a massive boulder, they finally arrived at the entrance. Before they could walk in, they seemed to have triggered some kind of mechanism. Jia! A loud sound echoed, and immediately afterward, and the ringing of bells sounded. Huala! A few poison masters wearing long robes appeared before the duo. Even though Poison Hall was well hidden and no one would easily attempt to besiege it, it was still one of the most hated and feared occupations in the continent. As such, they went to the extent of building a strong defensive system. Who dares to barge into the Poison Hall? A young man walked forward as he assessed the two intruders with a cold gaze. These few people seemed to be in their 30s, and they had all reached Xianxia realm, and the young man who spoke had even reached Xianxia realm pinnacle. But of course, what was fearsome about poison masters wasn't their strength but their ability to utilize poison. Even though they were only at Xianxia realm, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing didn't dare to underestimate them. I'm a 3-star beast tamer from the Beast Hall, Grand Elder Wei Yuqing. I'm here to seek a friend. Wei Yuqing stepped forward and clasped his hands. After a day of accompaniment, Wei Yuqing realized that Sun Qiong was only at Dingli realm. It was likely that the poison masters would simply disregard his presence, so he chose to take on the job of interacting with the other party. An elder from the Beast Hall. Taken aback, a grim look slowly surfaced on the young man. Even though they rarely interacted with the outside world, poison masters still roughly knew the various powers out in the world. Given that the other party was an elder of the Beast Hall, his strength was most probably at Jizuan realm pinnacle. This wasn't a figure that they could trifle with. May I know which poison master within our poison hall are you looking for? The young man replied politely. It's a poison master named Gu Mu. Sun Qiong said. Gu Mu. The young man was taken aback by Sun Qiong's words, and a furrow slowly appeared on his forehead. You're looking for Hall Master Gu Mu. Hall Master. Sun Qiong and Wei Yuqing were dumbstruck. Wei Yuqing knew that they were here to look for Zhong Xian's junior nephew. He thought that the other party would just be some unknown poison master, to think that he would be the head of the poison hall. The standing of the head of the poison hall was in no way inferior to the head of the beast hall. That's right. Seeing that the other party clearly didn't know that Gu Mu was the hall master despite being here to look for him, a wary look appeared on the faces of the poison masters. May I know the reason why you are looking for the hall master? I'll help you relay your message. The reason. Sun Qiong hesitated for a moment, but upon recalling his standing, he straightened his plump body and stood imposingly. Placing his hands behind his back, his eyebrows shot up, and an arrogant look appeared on his face. Tell him that his uncle Sun Qiong is here, so he should hurry out to welcome me. Chapter 430. Gu Mu's teacher is here too. 2-in-1 Uncle Sun Qiong. Wei Yuqing was just about to explain the matter when he heard these words. His lips trembled, and he nearly bit his own tongue. As the head of the poison hall, there were no doubts about the other party's strength and his ability to utilize poison. Even if Hall Master Xie Jiuchen were to come personally, there was no guarantee that he could defeat the other party. Even Wei Yuqing had to bow respectfully before such an elder for fear of offending the other party. Yet, this fellow declared that uncle is here as soon as he arrived. Where in the world did that come from? Even if Gu Mu was Xianxia's grand student, you should have nothing much to do with it. For a Dingli realm fellow to claim to be uncle of a Zhizuan realm expert, and to declare it so loudly and imposingly at that, Wei Yuqing felt his face turn green. He thought that it should be a simple matter bringing Sun Qiong here to look for someone. How could he have known that Sun Qiong was such an unreliable companion? What did you say? Where did this fool come from? As expected. As soon that Sun Qiong spoke those arrogant words, everyone's fury immediately erupted. They had always admired Hall Master Gu Mu's incredible strength, so how could they tolerate a random stranger claiming to be his uncle, his senior? This was an insult. Furthermore, even if Hall Master Gu Mu were to really have an uncle, the other party should at least be a powerful transcendent mortal expert. How could such a shameless-looking Dingli realm fellow like you be his uncle? Audacious. Used to such situations, Sun Qiong's eyebrows shot up as he bellowed authoritatively. Hurry up and call him out. Otherwise, don't blame me if I get that lad Gu Mu to tear you apart. Lad. Gu Mu. Wei Yuqing's mouth twitched yet again. He felt that a heart problem would crop up if he continued listening to these words. You. The faces of the poison masters steeled in fury. Unable to hold back their fury, they were about to make a move on Sun Qiong when a voice echoed. What happened? Who are these visitors? Turning to the origin of the voice, an imposing young man walked over with widened strides. It had not been long since the bell rang, and it was already ringing for the second time. When did the poison hall get so bothersome? Poison Master Wu Shi, you came at the right time. These fellows popped out from nowhere and claimed to be Hall Master Gu's uncle. The group hurriedly explained the matter to the young man who had just appeared. Teacher's uncle? I don't recall teacher having any relatives. Wu Shi frowned in confusion. Even though he was baffled, he chose to handle the matter prudently. Thus, he clasped his fist and asked, I am Wu Shi, and Hall Master Gu Mu is my teacher. May I know how to address you and where did you come from so that I can report this matter to teacher? Seeing the other party's respectful attitude, Sun Qiong nodded his head in satisfaction. How to address me? I am your teacher's uncle, so you can address me as grandfather. Wu Shi's eyebrows twitched, and his body swayed for an instant. As the direct disciple of the Hall Master, he possessed a high standing in the Poison Hall. For a Dingli realm fellow out of nowhere to claim to be his grandfather. Stifled, he nearly exploded. Even so, if the other party was truly his teacher's uncle, there would be no problem with the address. Since you claim to be teacher's uncle, may I know if you have anything to affirm your identity? Suppressing his rage, Wu Shi clasped his fists respectfully. Here! With a flick of his wrist, Sun Qiong threw the token Zhong Xian gave him over. It's teacher's token. Upon seeing the object, Wu Shi's face changed. He had seen teacher's token once, and it was a one-of-a-kind object. To think that he would see it on this plump man. Could this unimpressive fellow truly be teacher's uncle? Elder, please wait for a moment. I'll report this matter to teacher now. Given that the other party was able to take out his teacher's token, it was highly likely that his words were true. Thus, Wu Shi hurriedly clasped his fists respectfully. At the same time, he also changed his method of address to Elder. UN, go on. Sun Qiong waved his hands proudly. Seeing the imposing Wu Shi behaving so respectfully, the other poison masters were dumbfounded. They thought that this fellow was bragging. To think that it was actually true. Just a moment ago, someone had just appeared claiming to be the Hall Master's teacher. Given his powerful and majestic disposition, no one doubted his words at all. And now, the uncle had appeared as well. However, why did this uncle seem so weak and unimpressive? In the lounge of the Poison Hall, Jiyu Mu was seated on a chair, and he had an extremely respectful and humble look on his face. In the past 20 days, his cultivation had leaped considerably. Vaguely, one could sense that he was just a single step away from reaching half-transcension. It seemed like it wouldn't be long before he managed to make that breakthrough to a whole new world. Seated before was a white-haired elder. His eyes were deep as though an abyss, filled with the vicissitudes of life, leaving one with an unfathomable impression of him. Seated beside the elder was a youth dressed in a white robe. The youth had rosy lips and held a foldable fan in his hands. Taking a closer look, he was even more dashing than the refined Ji Mo Gongzi, who won the hearts of the ladies in Qianwu Royal City. In fact, the disposition and appearance of this youth far exceeded that of Ji Mo. The difference was as huge as though the gap between the heaven and the earth. A feature that stood out for that youth was his smooth and pale skin. Even Zhong Xian, who had already cultivated the Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan, could not match up to his complexion. Perhaps, only Zhao Wei could be a match for him. The youth sat quietly on a chair beside the elder. Even though he didn't speak a single word, he exuded a pressure that caused the white-haired elder to feel slightly restrained, not daring to speak excessively. Teacher, this is the Crimson Flame Lotus Seed. Upon consumption, it'll increase a person's chances of breaking into the half-transcension realm by 20%. With a flick on his wrist, Hall Master Jiyu Mu took out a jade box and passed it over to the elder. Opening the box, a blood-red object the size of a peanut appeared before everyone's gazes. It exuded astonishingly concentrated spiritual energy which revitalized one with just a single breath. Crimson Flame Lotus Seed. This was the treasure obtained back when he was at the Red Lotus Range. UN. Nodding his head, the elder took it and passed it to the youth beside him. Gongongzi. This is the reason why you came here. The youth who was addressed as Gongzi glanced at the seed for a moment before closing it. The incomparably valuable Crimson Flame Lotus seed that other cultivators would kill to obtain seemed to be something of zero value in his eyes. I heard that this object is beneficial to Gongzi's recovery. The elder hurriedly explained. You've been troubled. Upon hearing that it was for him, Gongzi nodded his head, kept the jade box, and fell silent once more. Well done. Seeing the finicky Gongzi accept the Crimson Flame Lotus Seed, the elder heaved a sigh of relief. Only then did he turn to Hall Master Jiyu Mu and nod his head in satisfaction. Teacher has done so much for me, it's only right for me to be filial to you. Jiyu Mu hurriedly clasped his fist humbly. The person seated before him was his ex-teacher, 4-star Poison Master Jin Songhai. When Jin Songhai was still a 3-star Poison Master, he accepted Jiyu Mu in as his student and groomed him. Eventually, he managed to break through his bottleneck, so he left Shenyuan Kingdom. With this departure, he was gone for 2 whole decades. Even so, his guidance had played a fundamental role to Jiyu Mu's current accomplishments. Otherwise, he would probably still be trying to crawl ahead as a 2-star Poison Master. Knowing that the crimson flame lotus seed was an incredible treasure, he immediately sent the news over to his teacher. As such, his teacher made a detour to the Xianxia Kingdom Poison Hall. Since we've obtained what we needed, let's go. The Gongzi didn't seem to care for pleasantries or that sort. Waving the fan in his hand, he stood up. Yes. Jin Songhai nodded. Teacher, may I know, where are you heading in such a hurry to? If it's within my means, I wish to offer my assistance. Hall Master Jiu Mu hesitated for a brief moment before asking. He thought that his teacher would stay a period of time, during which he could seek his guidance on his cultivation to break through his bottleneck. Yet, the other party was going to leave right after arriving. This left him slightly disappointed. Gongzi is intending to head to a Tier 1 kingdom below Shenyuan Kingdom. There's nothing we need your help on, you don't have to worry about it. Jin Songhai shook his hands and rejected the other party's offer with a smile. There is a total of 27 Tier 1 kingdoms under Shenyuan Kingdom. May I know which one is Gongzi and teacher intending to head to? I am familiar with some of them, so perhaps I can help lead the way. Knowing that his teacher was deferential to this Gongzi, Hall Master Jiu Mu asked for the latter's opinion as well. Tianwu Kingdom. Jin Songhai said. Tianwu? I've just returned from there a few days ago. In fact, this crimson flame lotus seed came from the branch there. I am well versed with the directions there, so if I may, I could guide you both. Jiu Mu's eyes lit up in excitement. Given that he had just come from Tianwu Kingdom, he was still rather familiar with the basic layout of the region. You've just returned from Tianwu Kingdom. Hearing the Jiu Mu's words, the nonchalant Gongzi suddenly turned around and asked, Good, I've something to ask you about. Gongzi, feel free to speak. Jiu Mu replied respectfully. After a momentary pause, the Gongzi was just about to voice his query when anxious footsteps sounded outside. Then, Wu Shi appeared in the group's sight. Teacher. What's wrong? Given that the other party interrupted the esteemed Gongzi's words, Jiu Mu's complexion immediately darkened. There's a person outside claiming to be your uncle, and he insists on meeting you. Wu Shi hurriedly said. My uncle. Jiu Mu was baffled. When did I ever have an uncle? His father was the sole son in his family, so how could he have an uncle? But, he has your token. Wu Shi quickly lifted the token Sun Qiong gave him up. Upon seeing the token, realization suddenly struck Jiu Mu. Could he be someone's senior granduncle sent? It was just a few days ago that he gave this token to the mysterious senior granduncle. Even though the other party looked young, he possessed unfathomable means. The reason why he managed to touch on the gates of half-transcension in just a short span of 20 days was because of this senior's guidance. The other party had cured him of his affliction and helped him tame the lava beast, thus granting him sufficient time and hope to avenge his wife. To be honest, the gratitude he felt toward this mysterious senior didn't pale to that of his teacher. What senior granduncle? Hearing Jiu Mu's mutterings, Jin Songhai turned his head over. I was just about to report this matter to teacher. Jiu Mu hurriedly walked forward and asked, May I know if teacher has a young-looking senior uncle? Since the other party was his senior granduncle, then naturally, he would be his teacher's senior uncle. Senior uncle. Jin Songhai was bewildered. Young-looking? What's his name? His name is Bai Chan. However, I think that it's just an alias. I'm not too sure what his real name is either. Jiu Mu said. Jiu Mu had Liao Zun investigated the matter, but the results showed that Bai Chan was only an ordinary physician in Tianwu Royal City. Most probably, senior granduncle did not want others to know his identity. That's why he chose to conceal his true name. Seeing that Jiu Mu was unclear of the matter as well, Jin Songhai asked, Where's he now? It was common for a cultivator to have many teachers throughout his entire life. However, most of them could only be considered as a half-teacher. More often than not, one would only have a single true teacher. His teacher had already passed away many years ago, and he didn't hear of his teacher having any juniors at all. Where did this senior uncle appear from? I haven't met him ever since I parted with him at Red Lotus Range. However, I gave him my token, and someone is looking for me now with it. Most probably, that person should be his junior or his student. Gu Mu said. Since the other party claimed to be his uncle, it meant that the other party was a junior of his senior granduncle. My teacher, Xianxia, has already passed away, 13 years ago. He'd never spoken of our lineage, so I'm not too sure about the details as well. However, if he's truly related to my teacher, I should be able to recognize it. With a deep frown, Jin Songhai suddenly felt intrigued to know who this senior uncle was. After a moment of hesitation, he turned to look at Gongzi. It's only out of interest that I'm heading to Qianwu Royal City. It isn't much of a problem for me to push back my schedule for a few days. Since this is a problem regarding your lineage, you should investigate it properly to prevent anyone from making use of your name. Knowing Jin Songhai's intentions, Gongzi shook his hands casually. Thank you, Gongzi. Upon receiving the other party's approval, Jin Songhai's eyes lit up. Then, turning to Gu Mu, he issued an instruction. Allow him in. I would like to see if this senior uncle is real or not. Yes. Gu Mu nodded before gesturing to Wu Shi. The young man walked out, and before long, he returned with two figures behind him. The one walking in front was a plump man whose cultivation was only at Dingli realm. His hands behind his back, his chests were puffed up, and he carried a slight air of superiority. Sun Qiong. The other man was an elder possessing a cultivation of Zhizuan realm pinnacle. He had a composed disposition, but there was a sharp glint in his eyes. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing. As soon as the trio walked in, before Wu Shi had a chance to introduce them, Sun Qiong's eyes swept across the people in the room and he said, "Which of you is Gu Mu?" Seeing how that fellow arrogantly addressed the hall master by his name, the complexion of Wu Shi and the others turned awful. I am. Gu Mu frowned as well, but he clasped his fist and responded politely. I believe you have seen the token already. The old master hopes for you to make a trip to Shenyuan Royal City. Without the slightest hesitation, Sun Qiong walked up to the main seat and waved his plump hands. You should hurry up and make preparations. May I know the reason why senior granduncle is asking me to head for Shenyuan Royal City? And what should I prepare? Gu Mu asked in confusion. Since the other party had the token, it was unlikely that this plump man was an imposter. Besides, Gu Mu had given his word that regardless of who it was, as long as they came to him with the token in hand, he would fulfill their demands regardless of what it was. Sun Qiong replied, as a subordinate, I dare not comment on the old master's affairs. I advise you to do the same as well. When you reach Shenyuan Royal City, he'll inform you on the rest. This. Yes. Gu Mu nodded. Not only was this Dingli realm fellow fearless before the Zhizuan realm pinnacle poison hall master, he even spoke with a lecturing tone. Grand Elder Wei Yuqing felt so faint-headed that the whites of his eyes were showing. He thought that given Sun Qiong's weak cultivation and shabby background, it was unlikely for him to be experienced in this kind of huge matter. Thus, as a Zhizuan realm pinnacle, the Grand Elder of the Beast Hall, he intended to bring him along and teach him a thing or two. In the end, he became the countryside bumpkin instead. Before the fearsome head of the poison hall, he was so scared that he didn't dare to utter a single word. On the other hand, the other party was able to speak nonchalantly, lecturing as he pleased, not giving the slightest consideration to the hall master's face at all. He sure was bold. Where in the world did he get such confidence from? Did he really think that the other party wouldn't dare kill him? Even the composed Gongzi couldn't help but widen his eyes in astonishment. He had seen arrogant people before, but this plump man clearly topped them all. Given the other party's strength, even an apprentice in the poison hall could easily extinguish his measly life. Yet, he was able to speak fearlessly here. Could his backing truly be that great? Was he certain that Gu Mu wouldn't make a move on him? That's why he was able to remain fearless? This friend here, may I know how I can address your old master? Unable to hold himself back anymore, Jin Songhai spoke up. The other party's confidence and boldness had left him puzzled as well. If the other party was an imposter, he would surely show some hints of fear. However, Jin Songhai could sense that this plump man was truly confident and fearless. This meant that he must have something to fall back on. Such boldness was not something an imposter could possess. Audacious! Who do you think you are? I'm speaking to Hall Master Jiu Mu. This isn't your place to butt in. Sun Qiong's eyebrows shot up furiously. The heck? Grand Elder Wei Yuqing nearly spurted a mouthful of blood. He nearly couldn't hold back his urge to escape. Due to Sun Qiong's lack of strength, he was unable to gauge the strength of this elder. However, as soon as Wei Yuqing walked in, he had already noticed the peculiarity with this elder. Given the deeply concealed and exceptionally calm aura of the other party, there was a high chance that he was a transcendent mortal expert. It was precisely of this elder that he didn't dare to move or speak at all. Yet, this fellow berated him. Doomed. Wei Yuqing thought that this should be an easy mission since they only had to look for a person. But from the looks of it now, this simple mission was going to claim his life. He wasn't the only one astounded by this situation. Gongzi and Jiu Mu also nearly bit their tongues. How dare a Fighter 5 Dan Dingli realm weakling speak to a transcendent mortal expert like that? This was no longer boldness, this was madness. You! Having been bellowed at, Jin Songhai's face darkened. He flung his sleeves and said, I am Hall Master Jiu Mu's teacher, 4-star Poison Master Jin Songhai. Even so, I still have no rights to speak. Jiu Mu's teacher? 4-star Poison Master? Sun Qiong was taken aback. He thought that the other party was just a sidekick, and he didn't expect him to be such a formidable figure. Even so, Sun Qiong didn't panic in the least. He simply stared at Jin Songhai with a look of disdain. So what if you're a 4-star Poison Master? Even 4-star master teachers like Su Fan and Ling Yuheng have to pay respect to the old master in the capacity of a student, not daring to refute even when reprimanded. Why? Do you think that you're superior to 4-star master teachers? Trying to scare me? Let me tell you, I, Brother Qiong, am no bumpkin. Back then, even the 4-star master teacher Little Su acted subserviently to the old master, not daring to speak loudly or go against his wills. You are just a mere poison master. No matter how incredible you are, do you think you can match up to the #1 occupation in the world? Didn't I try to spare your pride already? What are you bragging for? Su Fan? Ling Yuheng? Do you mean Elder Su and Elder Ling from the Myriad Kingdom Alliance's Master-Teacher Pavilion? Jin Songhai was about to erupt from rage when he heard those words. His face immediately warped in shock. As 4-star master teachers, Su Fan and Ling Yuheng were famous figures in the Myriad Kingdom Alliance. Not only were they powerful, they also possessed incredible influence as the elders of the Master-Teacher Pavilion. Their standing was comparable even to the nobles of the Myriad Kingdom Alliance's royal family. Yet, these two noble and powerful master teachers actually paid respect to his old master in the capacity of a student. Are you for real? If that's true, then who in the world was his old master? A grave look surfaced on Jin Songhai's face. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.